Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime you might perpetrate next? He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of suicidal maniac.
Hey, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. Who are the Edomites today? It's important to a lot of people. As ridiculous as it might be to some it's very important. They believe Edom is the quote-unquote European or white man. They believe Edom is the enemy, and they take it really as true. So a couple years ago, Divine Prospect did a lecture. He got over 150,000 views. It's important to black folks who follow this Hebrew Israelite tradition who Edom is. So I'm going to play some of that. I got special guest Vocab Malone coming up. And we're going to have people, whoever want to challenge Vocab, he's going to be on here live on stage. You'd call him Edom. You know? But check this out. This is from, what's his name? Divine Prospect. Who are the Edomites today?
And they always going on the term Esau, Edomite. So every white person that walks by, oh, you Edomite, and that is the rhetoric that they're utilizing to identify a people. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the error in what they teach and some truth in what they teach. But what I do is I like to add a lot of academia, a lot of scholarship work, so that way there's something concrete that you can refer back to. A lot of times if you ask your brothers, can you show me something scientific? Can you show me something historic? And if you do, give me some resources that I can go to a university or a library to go look up. A lot of times the brothers cannot refer to that, right? So what I like to do is give them something concrete. And at the same time, the elders meant well when they taught what they taught in regards to the Edomites. But at the time, they were limited to certain information that they probably didn't have access to. That's why the Most High now gives us access to the internet. And now we can do a little bit more research and we get our hands a little bit more resources that they didn't have at the time. But at the same time, respect the elders because they did what they knew. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. If it wasn't for Google, I would probably have a little bit of a hard time because some people call me a smart brother, but I had to give the elders, especially elder here, all the elders credit because of the information they was able to get without Google, without the internet. Come on, man. Y'all got to give them a round of applause. Those elders, man, listen, y'all. I say this to be honest because a lot of our brothers and sisters now, if you was to take the internet away from them, if you was to take the TV away from them and tell them to go study and read a book, to do a test or exam, they most of the time, they may get it, but for the most part, they don't really have a lot of it committed to memory because they figure, I can just Google it on my phone. So I give those brothers a lot of credit, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and start off with this presentation, all right? Now, I have what's called the Trinity method of verifying biblical claims, all right? This is very important because a lot of times when a person teaches, they often mostly do it from one of these perspectives. So what I've done is that, okay, if we have something in Scripture and the Bible or the Tanakh or the New Covenant, whatever you want to refer to, if it has a claim in it, how can you verify it? Well, you can get other passages of the text to verify that one text. You can also look into history because the text itself closed at a particular time, right? But history kept going. So you want to examine history to be able to line it up or align it with the text is saying, and also add a dab of science. And the reason why I add a dab of science is because I'm on the forefront dealing with a lot of Kemetic brothers and a lot of Moorish brothers, a lot of people that's out there who are very scientific, very concrete. And whenever we talk about the Bible, it's like, oh, that's a myth, that's fake, this and that. But then when I give brothers the history and the science and show how the scripture is in alignment with it, they can't really argue with it. At least if they don't agree, they can at least accept it. So you know what, brother? That's very good. I appreciate that. So what I want to do with my family is that I want to give y'all what I have so that way y'all can be more concrete when sharing this topic with others, okay? All right. All right, so first we're going to do scriptural analysis, all right? Now, there's a good amount of text in here. I'm going to be doing a lot of reading. Typically, I have a reader, but in this case, Sarah, I'm going to do most of the reading, so just bear with me. But we're going to dive into the scriptural analysis first, okay? All right. Now, question is, who is Esau and the Edomites? All right? And I grabbed this image because this is the closest image I can get of what Esau actually looked like, all right? So, yeah, he's kind of hairy. He looks like a caveman or a Sasquatch. Oh, you remember that Geico commercial with the caveman, real hairy caveman? Yeah, he kind of looks something like that, right? But we're going to go a little more in depth with it. All right, Genesis chapter 25, all right? Y'all should be familiar with this text. If not, I'm going to go over with y'all, all right? You ready? You ready? You ready? Oh, here we go, okay. All right, Jacob and Esau. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, if all is well, why am I like this? So she went to inquire of Yahweh, and Yahweh said to her, they said to this part, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 peoples shall be separated from your body, 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. All right? So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red. Red, right? Now, I have a little number coded here. I'm going to get into that in the next slide. But just pay attention to this part. The first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man in the field, but Jacob was a mild man and intense. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate up his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came into the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore, his name was called Edom. Keep that in mind. But Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. I'm not going to give you nothing for free. Let's make a barter in exchange. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die. So what is this birthright to me? And Jacob said, wait. Swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stewed lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised or had contempt for his birthright. All right? So if any of you are not familiar with this passage, I'm putting it right square center screen. Now, we get a lot of black Hebrew Israelites that go out there and teach. And what they say is, like, Esau's a white man because he came out all red and he's the white man. That's what they say, right? You hear that a lot, right? Now, my question is, when I build with these brothers, I said, okay, if Esau is the white man, can you show it to me from scripture, right? Because they supposedly supposed to be speaking Hebrew, right? Because that's part of your culture. So I asked them if they can show it to me in the text where it's saying that he's the white man or he's white. And they can't really do that. So what they got to do is that they got to interpolate little things here, superimpose things there. But what I'm doing now is that I'm giving y'all some scholarly work so you can go back and reference everything that I'm saying. Don't take nothing I say for granted. Go back and research it, right? So the question is, was Esau white? Now, if you go back and we look to, if you go back and we look to this numbering system that I have here, that's called a Strong's Concordance reference, right? That is like elementary, but it's a good way to give you a start in regards to the Hebrew. The reason why you can't use the Strong's to really interpret the full passage is because the Strong's do not include prefixes, suffixes, and infixes, and then you got to know syntaxes in regards to how the sentence is put together. So it's a good reference point when you look at the root of the word, but you have to also know the Hebrew itself. That's very important, but it's a good way to start. The reason why I had this here is because anybody can go online, type of Strong's Concordance, you type up and key in H132, and it says, and the first came out red, right? You're following me, right? Okay. As we know that at this time, Jacob and Esau parents was Isaac and Rebekah, and because of the region where they lived, these were melanated people, right? Nobody will argue with that, right? So the reason why I'm saying is that it's saying, and the first came out red. So they said, oh yeah, right there. Says that he's the white man. I'm like, what? It says red. I said, okay, cool. I'll hold that, no problem. If we jump down, we'll see here, we have red again. Please feed me with that same red. Therefore, his name is called Edom, right? You're following me. You have H122 there, H123 there. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. Anybody here got a Tanakh on them? Anybody got a Tanakh? Anybody? KJV. KJV. Okay, I just need somebody to read me a few passages. I want to people get bored with my voice. You got one?
I get you one.
Yeah, I mean, anybody. It doesn't matter.
You got somebody for you.
Okay, because anybody can just read this. I just don't want you to get too bored with my voice. Oh, you got one there? Okay, yeah, right there. All right.
I don't have glasses. I love you guys. Somebody else.
Somebody gonna read
something for you?
Oh yeah, you got a good voice, bro. Yeah, let's get that. That's good. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go over a couple things with y'all, and I want y'all to really understand. Oh, matter, yeah, you can use this.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, brother, if you can get 1 Samuel 16:12. All right. So the first thing that we have there is Hasmonean, right? If you look at the Hebrew, you got the Aleph, right? Yeah, 16:12. You got the Dalet, you got the Mem, the Nun, and the Yud, right? Now, anytime you have a suffix there, the suffix is what's at the end of the word. You have a Nun and the Yud. That gives you the Yi sound, right? That means that is the object of the verb, right? So I'm giving a little Hebrew grammar here, right? So when you look at the word Hasmonean, it can either be the object of the verb or it can be reference to the adjective, all right? So Esau is called red. Read 1 Samuel 16:12, brother.
Yes, sir. He sent and brought him. He was ruddy.
Slow down. He was what?
He was ruddy.
Slow down. Definition is red or ruddy. H132. Y'all can go research that. Keep going, brother.
With fair eyes
Mm-hmm.
and a pleasing appearance.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now jump to 1742.
1742.
Yes, sir. So it's talking about David now. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about King David. Okay. Would y'all agree that King David was black?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Yeah.
The Philistine peered and saw
This is
David,
good. Goliath.
and he derided him, for he was a youth, ruddy and
He
handsome.
was what?
Ruddy and handsome.
Ruddy. So we hear the word ruddy again. And if you look at the Strong's H132, it's Hasmonean. It's an adjective. Now, Esau is called ruddy or red because you can intertwine either word. In the Hebrew, it's the same word. In English, you can mix it up. Hebrew is the same word, Hasmonean. Okay? Red. So now King David is red. Esau is red. Oh, so you saying that King David is a white man too? They're like, nah, brother, no, he's not a white man. No. So then I say to him, I said, listen, okay, let's slow down for a second, bro. Let's reason. You know, Isaiah says, come, let's reason together, right? Who's this character right here? Anybody know who this individual is right here? Who's that? What was one of Malcolm X's nicknames? Red. Oh, y'all watched the Malcolm X movie. Y'all really read the books on Malcolm X. How many of y'all here know who Malcolm X is? Y'all know who Malcolm X is, right? Malcolm X was called Red. But was Malcolm X a white man?
No.
He wasn't? Interesting. Here's a picture of an African American baby. What color is that baby? But she's like mahogany color, right? Red. Now, you can have a brown baby, you can have a black baby, you can also have a mahogany red baby, and they can come from the same parents. So now when the parents identified Esau, this is what they saw. He came out red, looking like that. Now you're gonna say, no, I don't believe that, but that's not true. Because you're saying that David, I'm like, all right, sorry. Jump to the next one. Now we have the name Esau. Esau literally means hairy, right? Esau, we got the ayin, the shin, and we got the final wav at the end, right? Esau, right? So Esau literally means hairy in the Hebrew. So has nothing to do with his skin complexion, has to do with his skin. His hair on his skin, right? We jump down, we got Edom. Edom here, you got the Aleph, the Dalet, and the final men, right? And Edom means red, ruddy. It can also refer to lentils. What is this right here? Can somebody read that? What is it? A pottage of lentils, right? Okay, brother, get for me Songs of Solomon 5:10. All right, I want you to key into this. I want to really run past. I won't spend too much time on it, but I just want to elaborate because a lot of this stuff, people are not giving you any kind of scholarship to defend what they're saying. So I'm just trying to give you something you can go back and reference it, right? You got it? Okay, take the time. All right, so while he's doing that, I'm going to skip down to the last one. The last one is Edom. Edom, again, you got the Ayin, the Dela, and the final member, right? Now, if you look at the Hebrew, I don't know if y'all can see it. Hebrew has what's called diacritic marks, right? Diacritic marks are the nafud. The nafud are the markings at the bottom to indicate vowel, right? And also Hebrew has gutturals such as bach, okay? Chaf, chwa, ra, when you do your ra. So you have all of that, and these diacritic marks indicate that, but they also indicate whether you're dealing with a proper noun or a regular pronoun. So here we have the same writing, aleph, dalet, mem, right? For Adam and Edom. But when you have the diacritic marks down here, you have a shiva and a patak down there, I believe. I can't really see it right now. But here you just have the regular patak, right? Patak gives you the ah sound in Hebrew, right? So when you have two nakuls together, that gives you a proper noun. That is why it's spelled in capital E as Adam. But it's the same word. You understand what I'm saying? You're following me? Not losing nobody, right? Okay, cool. The reason why I'm saying this is because Edom's name means red. But he was called Edom, not because of his skin, but he was called Edom because of what? Please feed me with that same red. Now, when you read the text in English, anytime you see something in italicized, that means it's not in the original manuscript. You can go back. Anybody can read the Tanakh, go back to the original manuscript, and you'll see that that word is not there, but they insert it for context. That's why. So anytime you hear the word Edom, it's referring to the red cottage exchange. Had nothing to do with the color. Y'all feeling me? That's not saying he's not red, because we read up here that he is red, but down here his name is indicating the fact that he lost his birthright for a pottage of lentils. And lentils, if y'all never seen it before, is actually red. And if you see this pottage of lentils, it actually looks almost similar like the color of this Malcolm X in his child, right? It's the same word that's being used. Adomi is Adom in it. It's the same word as referring to this, the color red. You got that, brother?
Psalm 5:10?
Yes.
Psalm 5:10 says, my beloved is pure.
Slow down. Now, this is the Shulamite wife that Solomon was interacting with, and she's saying this about King Solomon. Okay, read that.
My beloved is pure and purifies sin and is ruddy with vengeance.
Wait, slow down. He's what?
Is ruddy.
He's ruddy. King Solomon is ruddy too? Like father, like son? Well, are they black men? You would say yes. Interesting. Okay, keep reading.
Is ready with vengeance to punish betrayers.
All right. That's only Solomon's 5:10?
Yes.
Okay. So, after we've seen what these different words mean, let's move forward, right? So, the question is, was King Solomon red? Actually, some Solomon's, you read sometimes 5:10, because it should say dazzling in there, or it should say white.
Well, different words.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Read that one more time. I'm going to show y'all what I mean by that. Read that text one more time.
I'm going to read the whole 10.
Sure.
Again. My beloved is pure.
Okay, there we go. Slow down. And in the New King James, it's going to say white. My beloved is white. Right? It says white. Now, if any of y'all got your little mobile phones in your Bibles, it'll say white. So the question is, was King Solomon white? He wasn't white. The Hebrew word that's used there is zach, right? You have the silent and you have the het there, right? And then you have your little diacritic marks. You got the, I think that's a patak. I can't see. No, that's a kametz. That's under there, I believe. And that gives you that ah sound. So if you look at the Strongs, she's not calling him white because of his complexion. She's saying he's dazzling, he's glowing, he has a countenance to him. He's just amazing. That's pretty much what she's referencing to. But if you're not going back to your original Hebrew, you're going to automatically think, oh, he's white. I've heard some KKK members actually preaching from the Bible, and they say, oh, King Solomon's white. It says he's white right there. And I said, brother, do you speak the Hebrew? Can you go back to the original script? It doesn't say that. That's very, very important. That's what the Strong says. It helps to give you a reference to that. So the question is, if Esau had white skin, it would have been described as the following. Laban in the Hebrew. That's a lamed, that's a bait, If you have the dogesh in the middle, it kind of alters the pronunciation. But at the end, you have a final nun. Laban. Give me Genesis 49 and 12. And I'm going to show you. If Esau was white, there would have been a different adjective that would have been used to describe him. You following me? Okay. Yeah, brother.
Genesis 29 and 12.
49, 12.
I'm sorry, 49 and 12. That's what I meant. Red-eyed from wine and white-toothed from milk.
Slow down. White tooth from milk. If somebody brush their teeth and they take care of their teeth, what color is it?
White.
And if you don't, you go to the dentist, get a little shine, get a little polish, but what color would it be? White, right? Okay. Jump to Leviticus 13. Give me 42 to 43. I have some images down here. So first we're talking about the teeth, right? That's what white teeth look like. So if a person was Hebrew and they was examining an individual and they wanted to, because Hebrew is a very concrete language. So what happens is instead of them being very abstract and dealing with appearances, like you would get a Greco-Roman state of mind, they compare things physically. So if I wanted to say what color his shirt is, right? A Hebrew person would this brother right here, the Hebrew person would say, well, that looks like his teeth. So what they're doing is they're comparing that color to something physical that looks similar to it. Y'all feeling me? You follow me? All right, you can go ahead and get that.
13, start at 42, you say?
Oh, yeah, 42, 43.
Okay, we're going to be Leviticus 13, 42. And if in the posterior or frontal baldness, there shall be a white.
A what?
A white.
A what?
A white.
A white what?
Affliction.
Keep going.
Streaked with red.
Streaked with what?
Red.
Keep going.
It is an eruption of zaras.
And that means what? Who knows what zaras means? Leprosy. Leprosy, right? All right, so what we're doing is we have the priest examining an individual. The Most High told him, listen, anybody that has leprosy, they're unclean. Here is the instructions how to examine them. They will examine and look for a what spot?
Zaras.
A white spot. So if we wanted to call Esau the white man or a white individual, the word Laban would be used. It's not that difficult. Y'all feeling me? Yeah. But now, y'all must say, okay, so what you saying? You're saying the Edomites are not white? I didn't really say that, but let me continue. Can I go? Can I continue? You good? Yeah. All right, good. Let's move forward. All right, let's finish up this story. I'll read this real quick, all right? You good, bro? You good? Good. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. No problem. All right, y'all can give him a hand. That was good.
Hey, let me say this, right? I saw the video when it came out, but I didn't literally watch it. So guys know when I play stuff on my channel, I didn't know which angle he was gonna come with or whatever. But so far, there's nothing he says that I disagree with, as far as interpreting what the scriptures is trying to say to us. So even though we might not accept that we're Israelites, some of us might not physically, he's definitely on point. And for those who are of a One West persuasion, you're going to disagree, because most of those folks teach, like what Sister Mika was saying earlier, that Edom is the white man. He's not saying that. He's trying to break down the scripture and what it actually means. And I think this is probably one of his most viewed videos, 160,000. This is a good lecture so far.
And I just want to show you in Zechariah, it talks about a white horse. Again, they're using the color to describe something physically that they can associate with. This actually is a white individual. Her skin would be white. So if the priest saw her and she was in the camp, she would be cast out, because they would think that, wow, her whole body's full with leprosy. You understand what I'm saying? They would use the word Laban to describe an individual. All right? You following me? All right, cool. All right, so now back to the story. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob, her son, saying, indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau, your brother, saying, bring me some game, make food for me, so I may bless it in the presence of Yahweh before my death. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I command you. Go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids of goats, and I will make savory food according to what I command you. Savory food from them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, he may eat it, and he may bless you before his death. Now you're like, oh, wow, Rebekah's doing some grimy stuff right there, right? So he went to his father and said, my father. He said, here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. So no, Jacob probably had a little whiny voice, so he had to like get his manhood. I'm Esau, you know what I'm saying? Because Esau was a wild man out in the field, right? So it says here, it says, I have done just as you told me. Please arise, sit and eat my game, that your soul may bless me. He said, bring it near to me. I will eat of my son's game so that my soul may bless you. So he brought it near to him, he ate, and he brought him wine and drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, come near now, son, and kiss me. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his clothing and blessed him and said, now remember, at this point, his mother was telling him what to do. She gave him a garment because Jacob said, oh, what if my father feels my skin? She gave him a garment so he could feel like his brother Esau, right? He said here, surely the smell of my son is like the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Pay attention. Therefore, may God give you the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and plenty of grain and wine. Let the people serve you and the nations bow down to you. Be master of your brethren and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you and blessed be those who bless you. Now it happened, as soon as Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out of his presence, Esau's brother came in for hunting. So Esau probably had the game, threw it down, cooked it up, right? So it says here, when Esau heard the words of his father, because now he's coming to his father, and his father said, well, who are you? He said, wait, your brother was just here, he's acting like you? Esau heard his words. Esau cried with a great and bitter cry and said to his father, bless me also, O my father. But he said, your brother came with deceit and has taken away your blessing. And Esau said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now look, he has taken away my blessing. And it goes here, it says, and he said, have you not deserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren have given to him as servants. With bread and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, and Esau said to his father, have you not my blessing? Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth. What? Giving him a similar blessing to Jacob. And of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. Now, one thing I want to say about this so we can move forward. Very interesting here. People would say, oh, Rebecca was grimy because she took Jacob and she set Jacob up to go and steal Esau's blessing, right? How many of you would think that that's what Rebecca did? If you were just reading this for the first time, you would think that, right? You would think that, right? Okay. But what people don't realize is that Esau already sold his birthright.
That's right.
He sold it already.
That's right.
But he ain't say nothing about it. Rebecca caught wind of that. And in antiquity or ancient times, once a father gives a blessing, that's his word. You can't take it back. So Rebecca's like, wow, okay, you know what? Isaac is about to die. Jacob was really the one that should receive the blessing because he got it rightfully. He had a barter exchange with his brother. So I have to set this thing up so he can be blessed. Because if I don't, then Esau is going to be blessed, and he's not going to be in his right standing because he's being dishonest. So now Esau was the deceitful one because Esau didn't say nothing to his father, because if he did, the father would have said, but my son, you sold your birthright. He didn't say that, right? You're following me, right? Okay, let's move forward. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing which his father blessed him. Esau said in his heart, the days of my mourning and my father at hand, I will kill my brother Jacob. And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger, said to him, surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to my brother Laban. Wow, interesting. In Haran. And stay with him a few days until your brother's spirit turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you here. Why should I be grieved also of you both in one day? Because she knows Isaac is dying. So she said, why should I let you stay here after Isaac died and your brother killed you? I cannot lose 2 people in one day. So she sends him away. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba and went to Haran. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones, put on his head, lay down, and then placed to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven. And there the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham, Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you. They go into ancient Kemet or Egypt, right? And they stay there for 400 years. Esau and his people was getting busy building kingdoms, got chiefs and everything. So they got a huge army and a huge kingdom. Let's see why that's important. Now, I'm going to show you a map, right? So you can physically see what's going on here. This right here is the land of Israel. This is the southern of Judah. This is the northern part of Israel. This is Philistia, right? Which is now called the West Bank, right? This right here is the area of the kingdom that Esau had. See how big that kingdom is? That's a huge kingdom, right? Now, if you look at a more modern map, this was the breakup in the more modern times, well, not modern times, but at the time of the kingdom being split. This is how big the kingdom of Edom was, all right? So I'm showing y'all this for a reason. Take a look at this map, okay? Now, mind you, Egypt is over here, Mount Sinai is over here, and then they are moving in. You got to travel in to get to the promised land, right? So Edom's first act of bitterness towards Israel. So after you read that story, he's like, you know what? Cool, Esau's good. You know, his descendants might be good. Everything is cool. Everybody's all right. Let's keep it moving. Nah. Numbers 20:14. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. So now the Israelites are leaving out of Egypt, and now they see a kingdom. They said, oh, okay, Moses sent some messengers there, and this is what the messenger said. This is what your brother Israel says, or Yisrael says. You know about all the hardships that have come upon us. So now the word went out what was going on to them back in Egypt. Our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there many years. The Egyptians mistreated us and our ancestors, but when we cried out to Yahweh, he heard our cry and sent an angel to bring us out of Egypt, blah, blah, blah. So now the king of Edom is like this. The message is like, yeah, you know, you're, and he's just looking at him like this, right? So if you keep reading, right, he says, please let us pass through your country. We will not go through any field or vineyard or drink water from the well. We will travel on the king's highway and not turn to the left or right until we have passed through your territory. The king of Edom is like, you may not pass through here. If you try, we will march out and attack you with the sword. Now imagine hearing something like that. And then he's like, well, we will go along the main road, and if our livestock drink any of your water, how can you stop livestock from drinking water? He says, we will pay for it. We will only pass through on foot, nothing else. Again, they answered, you may not pass through. Then it's like, okay, the king of Edom is like, okay, they don't take me seriously. So the Edom came out against them with a large and powerful army. Since Edom refused to let them go to the territory, Israel turned away from them. So now, the Most High kept them. You got to understand, the Most High is he's
Peace. So we back. You know, that was Divine Prospect back in the days, and you know, he's actually dropping some knowledge of what the scripture is saying. I wouldn't even go as far as what Kyle was saying. We was lost. But I do have someone special coming on, Vocab Malone. So anyone who wants to address the topic and address Vocab Malone, who would be considered a quote unquote, I don't, you know, some people would call him the Edomite because he's European. And you know what's crazy? I don't even know what vocab is. I've never asked him. I never asked him his background. He could be Mexican for all I know. I've never asked him that. So he's about to jump on in a few minutes, and we're going to discuss the whole thing about, can salvation be for everybody or just Israel? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, happy Black History Month for the entire universe and everybody and X, Y, and Z. Oh, he's Italian? Well, I'm going to ask him anyway. I've never asked him before. But I do want to say to everybody, happy Black History Month. All right. And by the way, the baby on my timeline is not my baby, man. For those who saw, that's one of my closest business partners. She just had a 9-pound, 3-ounce baby. I had to put it on my timeline. I'm like, where you get that big ass baby from? So that's not my baby, for those who want to know, and they're saying congratulations like it's my baby. Nah, I ain't got no new baby, man. That is not my baby. What's up? What's up, Craig? I ain't talked to Craig in a minute, man. Craig be working hard doing his thing. That is not my baby, all right? Shout out to Kim, man. She that's one of my business partners. She had that child. Mika said, better not. Oh man. So I got let me go put a hat on. But so I could talk to my brother Vocab Malone doing the damn Vocab doing the damn thing, boy. Doing the damn thing, man. Oh, them people hate that some Vocab, boy. And by the way, if there's somebody you want to call out on the Thursday show, you're free to call out. Freedom. Ye worship ye not what we know, what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. You naked without your hat. I just had to put my purple hat on, that's all. Kind of. What's up, Craig? I ain't see you trolling in a minute, man. But peace and love to y'all, man. And we do what we do. All right. So I'm waiting for Vocab to jump on so we could get it in. Ex-Israelites, Freedom 310. All right. So hey, if y'all got a question for Vocab, you could come on and ask the question, or you could ask from the audience. If you want to send a Cash App for a special question, that's different. I'll put my Cash App at the bottom of the screen. And y'all could ask a special question for the brother Vocab Malone. Also, by the way, too, don't forget Black History Month. Support your brother Garfield, Misconceptions and Misinformation by the Black Hebrew Israelites, Volume 1. And this has a lot of sources, a lot of information. #1 bestseller on Amazon. Check me out, doing the damn thing. All right. And Vocab got a book out too. Vocab got a book out. All right. Super Bowl Sunday. I'm probably gonna be doing a show live on Super Bowl Sunday. Who y'all got for the Super Bowl? Who y'all think won the NBA trade deadline? Come on down, Vocab. Let's get it in. Yep, there goes my book right there. You could order it. Misconceptions and Misinformation by the Black Hebrew Israelites, Volume 1. Eagles all day. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind Philly winning, because I mean they won in 2016, and it would be good for a black quarterback to win in Black History Month. But so is Holmes. What's his name? The other quarterback. He's black too. So what's the big deal? So anybody wins, it's good for everybody. Sister Karak in the building. Garfield gave me the first autograph copy. Facts. Sister Karak in the building. Fly, Eagles, fly. I don't know. Whoever wins, win. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and they lost. So it's like, who cares? I said if the Bills not going to win, I'd rather Kansas City win, but whoever wins is not my team. What up? Laugh out loud. I bought my copy. All right. So for Black History Month, Misconceptions and Misinformation by the Black Hebrew Israelites. Pat Mahomes ain't black. Come on, man. Why he's according to the Hebrew Israelites, his father is black, so he's black. Why? Because he's mixed. I've not met one person in America who is not mixed. Garfield debate Queen Naphtali. Okay, I will if she wants to. On what topic? What topic? Depends on what topic. Come on, somebody jump on. Let's have a conversation. Who can tell me, right? Hey, Mika, you saw the article about who got the oldest calendar. Now, if Gobel Tepe has I'm going to show you how crazy we are in this community, right? if Gobel Tepe has the oldest calendar, are we going to accept that as the oldest calendar? Or are we going to say, oh, it's not Egypt, so we're going to hide the fact that it's somewhere outside of Egypt that got the oldest calendar? This is how we think as Egyptomaniacs, yo. We obsessed with Egypt. Egypt got to be the oldest for everything. Now they're saying they have stuff on there that count up to 365 days. If that's real, that's the oldest calendar, 365-day calendar or 360-day calendar in history. And that was like 1100 BC. Debate the 12-tribe chart. I don't believe in the 12-tribe chart, bro. I think that's what I sent you, Mika, in your inbox a couple of days ago. Let me put it on the screen real quick before vocab comes on. I think this is something that we got to think about things. We can't just because it's not in Egypt that we don't want to accept. Let me share it on the screen so everybody could see it. And I think we got to start respecting. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to vocab. He's about to jump on. But check this short out real quickly right here.
Tepe's history may have just been revealed at the monumental grouping of 11,500-year-old standing stones located in modern-day Turkey. Published in the journal Time and Mind by Dr. Martin Sweatman, new secrets may have been uncovered. Repetitive V markings across several pillars are claimed to represent days, adding up to 363 days in a year, marking the earliest known use of a calendar system. Another carving is claimed to record the events of a meteor striking Earth, believed to be significant to the development of early human civilization. The research suggests that around 13,000 years form of meteors from a fragmented comet, causing a 1,000-year-long ice age, globally reducing flora and fauna. Food scarcity during this period may have encouraged the development of agriculture, transitioning humanity away from nomadic hunter-gatherer living and towards sedentism. While interesting, both the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis and Sweatman's interpretation of the carvings continue. A new chapter in Göbekli Tepe's history may have just been revealed at the monumental grouping of 11,500-year-old standing stones located in modern-day Turkey. Published in the journal Time and Mind by Dr. Martin Sweatman, new secrets may have been uncovered. Repetitive V markings across several pillars are claimed to represent days, adding up to 364 days in a year, marking the...
Now, let me be straight up upfront with everybody. I have not researched this at all. Someone brought it to my attention on Clubhouse, and I did like a simple YouTube video, and then I saw there was a peer-reviewed article on it. And I said, yo, let me check it out. But if it's a calendar days that they're documenting, it could be the earliest calendar. It could be. And if that's something, that's huge. Now, if you look at the images that they have of the people, they do look dark, darker than me, the images that they have of the people. So if you're worried about skin tone and that's what you're into, you don't have to worry. It's quote unquote black people. You know, so that's us crazy. Shout out to Vocab in the building, man. Vocab, what's up, man? How you doing, man?
Yo, how's everybody doing, man? Sorry I'm a little bit late. I appreciate the patience. Thank you.
Let me ask you this, Vocab. I never asked you this, man. What is your background? Where are you from? People say you're white, you're European, you're Edom. You could be my Mexican cousin for all I know. You know what I'm saying? Where are you from originally?
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as like the states, you know, I'm Columbus, Ohio, but my great grandparents came over from Sicily. So I'm Sicilian on my mom's side. On my dad's side, it's more mixed, but I usually just say Sicily. That's my primary sort of identity. I don't have any Jewish ancestry that I'm aware of. And I do have Puerto Rican family.
I'm gonna put it on you right now. You got 3.8 Ashkenazi.
I mean, I haven't taken a DNA test yet. I'm open to the idea.
Oh, you've never done one?
Wow. No, I'm just telling you what I know from like family ancestry records type of thing. But I mean, you know, if I wanted to come in to the apologetic space and criticize the Israelites and stuff like that, I could have lied from day one. I could have told them I was Issachar or Ephraim, is the one Westerners would say, meaning Puerto Rican or Chicano on my father's side. You know, if I was a liar, I could have, and they would have never known. I live in Arizona, for goodness sake. But
Issachar, you could have been Issachar.
But I'm not going to go around lying about that. You know what I mean? So basically, Sicilian, you know, not full blooded though, but
Okay. All right. Peace and love to you, man. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you taking out the time. We have a topic we got to touch on. Who is Edom today? That could be secondary, but can salvation be for everybody or just Israel? Plus, if anyone has a serious question, they could send me a Cash App. The Cash App is at the bottom, and you could ask Vocab a question. Or if you want to come on stage, you could ask him a question directly and go back and forth. But just for the record, this is a different moderating than before. You can't speak for more than 2 minutes. So if you got a question for Vocab, you got to ask him. He got 2 minutes, and then you respond 2 minutes, and that's it. And then you go back and forth for 2 minutes if he chooses to or whatever. It's his choice because he's the number one guest on today.
Wow, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, so you're talking about Edom or salvation or both?
We're gonna talk about both, but I want to put Edom secondary.
Okay.
Can salvation be for everybody or just Israel? And when I ask you this is one of the most common things people talk about on Clubhouse, on YouTube, and whatever, because people want to separate themselves, meaning that we are black, we're the Israelites, and we don't want to be connected to quote-unquote Europeans, who they call Edomites. And so, no, Edomites can't be saved and all this foolishness. And for those who don't know, Esau and Jacob came out of the womb, and Esau and Jacob, and they're twins. And supposedly Jacob is the Israelite, the father of the Israelites, so he's black. And Esau is the father of the Edomites, hence they're white. So that's what they're talking about. Shout out, I got somebody here, Israel Bound. Israel Bound, you got to put something in before. Hold on, by the way, I got Sabio on the stage. Sabio, I'm gonna keep you in the bottom line unless you want to put something in the Cash App and you want to ask Vocab something regarding the topic. You gonna stay on topic, Sabio, or are you just here for the support? Sabio. All right, let me put Sabio down. So Israel Bound, I do want you to ask a question, but do you want to answer it first, Vocab, or you want to see if Israel Bound has a question? Because Israel Bound is a regular here. He's not a crazy guy like one of them guys we might buck up on the street and talk crazy.
I've been on Vocab show.
Yeah, he has.
All right, so Israel Bound, the question is, can salvation be for everybody or just Israel? It's on Vocab right now. I'm going to let you have your mic open because I know you're not going to interrupt. You don't do that. But go ahead, Vocab.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
All right, no problem, bro. Go ahead, Vocab. It's on you. You have all the time in the world right now. You're not on no time limit.
Well, you know the whole Edom thing is interesting, Garfield, because when you talk about Edom is somewhat important in biblical history in the sense of they should have been an ally to Israel throughout our history. But since they weren't, there's sort of special judgment reserved for them. But as far as on the world stage, Edom is incredibly insignificant in the world stage in the ancient world. Israel was as well. We got to be honest. Israel was relatively an unimportant nation. The reason why there were so many fights over that part of the world mainly had to do simply with its location. It was on the sort of border of multiple empires, and you wanted to have that parcel of land, but not really for the land itself, more as a thoroughfare. And you didn't really want to settle there. It was not seen as a desirable piece of property or that these people were so great. So when you look at this, we got to understand we are looking at everything through a biblical lens if we're reading scripture first. And that's a lot of people's exposure to ancient Near Eastern topics is scripture first. Now, that's not bad or wrong. In fact, I would say people in the modern world would have much less of an interest in the ancient Near East if it wasn't for scripture's influence on our modern culture. So I'm not banging on that, but I'll tell you, Garfield, in seminary, Dr. Paul Wagner, every single project you turned in related to the Old Testament, he would always say, it became a trope. The students would make fun of him. He would always say, give me more A&E context. What he was always trying to do with his feedback for every paper was very similar. The idea was we need to understand the other things happening with the other nations around Israel, one of which was Edom. And so Edom has this place of special judgment mainly because it's supposed to be familial, but instead it's hostile. And so that's why you see it. But Edom itself is not really all that important and not very numerous either. And so it's interesting when you look at it now, the Edom has taken up special place in the minds of one Western Hebrew Israelites. They take Edom and make it the progenitor of all of Europe, essentially, which if you just look at numbers and data, it's incredibly ludicrous to think about this idea of this undetected migration that supposedly happened. And now you have these folks that are proto-Europeans that are dwelling in the land of Edom. It's just a silly, silly notion. Really, what it's ultimately based upon is the one Westerners want to find some villain in the Bible that they can put on white people. Instead of just saying a lot of white people did a lot of bad stuff, they want to have some kind of eschatological significance to things that happened under colonial and European powers, right? And so it's true Edom's in the Bible. It's true Edom has special judgment, especially in Obadiah. Now that's not true of all Edomites, by the way, in Scripture, but it's also true that Obadiah in its big sweeps has basically been fulfilled. And that's why Edom is not a nation now. Edom is not something that's significant or important now. Edom, in fact, even when people think about Edom, Garfield, they usually think of the Petra, those special red cliffs. Those were in Indiana Jones, for example, during the Last Crusade movie. Those weren't even built by the Edomites, because by that time they had been taken over by the Nabateans. And all you got to do is some quick searches and you'll find out who built the red rocks that were it's quite magnificent. They like carved it right into there. I don't know if you could bring up a picture, put the Petra Cliffs, and they're in what would have been ancient Edom as far as geographical space, but they're actually not built by the Edomites. They were built by Nabateans, because the Nabateans, who are essentially a band of Arabs in the area, had essentially conquered that area by that time. Now, it's all very significant. So Edom is important and interesting to know, but the idea that they're the progenitors for modern-day Europeans is silly on every level. Really what it's about is, Garfield, is they want a special way to identify white people as some kind of special, unique place of badness, and they want to tie it into something from biblical history. So it's really based upon revenge fantasy needs, not history, not archaeology, not anything that actually comes out of what the Bible talks about when it talks about Edom, because Edom has nothing to do with Europe in any meaningful way. So that's sort of the intro to Edom. And, you can look these things up. Most one Westerners don't even know that the Nabateans had already taken over Edom's land by the time that a lot of the when you hear about the region of Idumea, Nabateans were already the prominent ones in there at this time. And it's just like not recognized, because Edom could refer to the land or it could refer to the people, right? And in case there's cases where you're referring to Edom as a land, but the Nabateans are the ones living there. These are just matters of history. Now, is every question answered about ancient Edom? No, it's not. In fact, we know minimal about their religion, for example. There's things that they're still finding out about, but there's other things we do know a lot about. And so I wish they would really take an interest in ancient Near Eastern history and learn about it, instead of just using it sort of as a kind of like weaponized theory where they say, oh, Edom equals Europe and this kind of silliness. Because, Garfield, it's interesting. Last thing I'll say on this, when it comes to one Westerners, they're not only saying who they are, they're telling everybody on the planet who they are. Europeans, you're Edomites. And if you're from India, you're an Elamite. And if you're Arab, you're an Ishmaelite. They're literally telling everyone on the planet who they are. You know what I mean? They know the secret code from the ancient Bible, who they are, but they really don't. It's something that came out of a school in Harlem sometime in the late 20th century, but it has nothing to do with facts. And I think all this is true. I got your book on the shelf. It's got some decent stuff in it. Unfortunately, half of it's just an attack on the Bible. So, it's a limited use for us Christians. But nonetheless, you know about some of this stuff.
Yeah, when I talked about the Jacob and Esau being more of like a connection of them actually going to war and all that stuff. Hey, let me say this. Israel Bound, do you want to respond to what I could start the clock? You have 2 minutes to respond to what Brother Vocab just said. But before you go, Tony Lysite, do you have a question? You could send some to the Cash App, $25, $10, it doesn't matter. I'll read your question to Vocab and force him to answer in 2 minutes. So if you want to, send some to the Cash App, all right? It's a different show. On Sundays, we're open to answer freely, but today you got to send something to the Cash App. He's not obligated to answer that question. But Israel Bound is here on stage. So if you want to come on stage, jump on stage, and you could ask Vocab the question. I got my clock ready. Israel Bound, as soon as you unmute, I will start the clock. You got 2 minutes.
All right, cool. So I really don't have much to say in the way of the Edom debate. I don't disagree with a lot of the stuff that Vocab said on that. So I just tend to, because in my estimation, as far as who Edom is or isn't, is of non-importance to me. It doesn't matter, because all nations outside of Israel is pretty much the same as far as what the Bible says. So I mean, some will get different judgments than others. Like he said, Edom is designated for a special judgment, but at the end of the day, whoever they are, I just wouldn't want to be them. So that's all I really have to say as far as Edom. I'm here for what the salvation part of it.
All right, we're gonna get to that shortly. You got 50 seconds left if you want to add anything. But what about them saying Edom is the white man? What do you feel about that part?
I don't subscribe to that either. For the same reasons that I just don't think that it makes sense to me geographically. It just don't. It doesn't make sense. And then, as he said, we don't see anything in history that says there was this migration and starting of a civilization from this side of the world to that side of the world by these particular people. So, amongst other things, but yeah, with that, I'll yield.
All right, cool. Your time is up now. All right, cool. All right, so Vocab, since he didn't even respond to that, I thank you for your honesty, Israel Bound. The way how I look at it, I have the map on the screen, right? And this is like an unofficial, it's a theoretical map, right? As far as what the Wikipedia article says. But the bottom line is, though, Edom was at the border of Judah. And if you look at the map, family, if I could enlarge something for you guys to see, which is very important. No, you guys can't see it. All right. If you could see right here where my stick is, this is Hebron. For those who don't know where Hebron is, that was like the main area where the Abraham was a part of. He was a part of the Hebron area, and he's well known in that region, right? Jacob was well known in Shechem. All right. Now, Hebron, ladies and gentlemen, the Edomites, when Nebuchadnezzar came in and destroyed the temple in Jerusalem, the Edomites helped him, and it came to the point where they actually ruled Hebron all the way back to where Edom is. They control this entire area. So Judah became annexed partially by Edom. So by the time Nebuchadnezzar had left, they had taken over where Hebron was and ruled and controlled it. It was actually their capital. So this is how involved the so-called Edomites in history were. And they were intermingling with Judeans who were still there. So they lived there up until even up to the time of John Hyrcanus, and they're talking about Idumeans and conversions and whatever. They've always been in that land of Judah. So they were always there. So are they saying that these people never had sex with Israelites, or they never mated with them, or it's just the whole thing is just craziness? But I saw Orthodox more put a verse in the chat. Psalm 67, salvation is to be known among all nations. I guess he's responding to what Brother Tony Lyside had put. But all right, so since Israel bound, so do you want to add anything, Vocab? It's your move today as far as Edom. Do you want to add anything to the conversation as far as Edom is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, with Edom, it is interesting to learn about and all that. But I think a lot of one Westers know that it's silly that they think Edom equals in some way modern day descendants of Europeans. It's just basically a useful fiction for them, basically. And, you know, they run into all kinds of problems, you know, when they want to do the red thing. You know, Esau's the white man. He's actually red. And then you have Jacob. I'm sorry, you have, yes, Esau described that way. But then, of course, you have David and Solomon described the same way. And there's just no way around that. So if they're going to make it that, then they're shooting themselves in the foot. Now, they act like they have an answer for that, but they simply don't. The words are there in the Hebrew, and there's no way around it. Now, it is interesting that there are versions of British Israelites, and British Israelites sometimes also use Edom as a slur to describe peoples that they think are doomed or something like that. So it's become a useful fiction for a number of religions. And in fact, the Jews themselves sometimes will refer to the Romans as Edom, but it seems quite obvious when you read these things. And I would say most people haven't gone through these sources. It's quite a study unto itself. But the way the rabbis use it, it's sort of a metaphorical way to say, well, here's this ancient enemy and here's this modern enemy. It's kind of like that. But the idea that, you know, you've got these twins and one's black and one is white, and they all of a sudden stuff like that is just really silly. And it's kind of crazy, Garfield, because it actually puts like the so-called white man, when you're talking about this, closer to them than anyone else on the planet. You know, that's like their closest companion out of everybody in the world is the so-called white man. Because
quick question for clarity. Quick question: in British Israelism, who do they call Edom?
Sometimes they use it for the Jews. That's what I've seen. Now, not all of them, but there are examples where you find where they say that type of thing, because it's a fascinating thing. But yeah, you'll see them talking about it, talk about it in certain instances. But anyways, as far as, you know, salvation,
Before we move there, hold on 1 second, brother Vocab. Before we move there, is there any other comment regarding Edom you want to get out the way, or anybody in the chat? I'm giving y'all a free shot right now at Vocab. Take y'all shots right now while you can. Edom, because you guys, there's this obsession with Edom, and I just don't see it. Even there's this strong theory about Yahweh, actually the deity of the Bible, actually being an Edomite deity. Actually, in my book, I put one of the most leaned on perspectives regarding where Yahweh come from, because nobody really knows exactly outside the biblical text where Yahweh comes from a historical perspective. There's different theories about him being some sort of mountain deity. Then there's a theory that the Edomites that came out from Yahweh of Seir or whatever was pointing towards where Edom is. So possibly coming out of Egypt, they may have learned about the deity, and that's how it ended up in the Levant and so forth. So there's theories out there, but one of the strongest theories is that Yahweh comes from where Teman is, which is in Arabia, which is where the kingdom of Edom is as far as the theoretical map is. So they're worshiping an Edomite deity, which would be a hypocrisy or hypocritical on their part, and then saying the Edom is the white man. So they're worshiping the white man's God. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but the Edomite God is Kaus.
It's Kaus, yes, I know.
But that's not Yahweh.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. The theory is based on Yahweh being used in what is it at the Elcom? What is it? The Kerbet Elcom site, or the stuff, the people that were coming out of Egypt, and they found it in Seti's records and Ramesses II records, I think, and they found them saying they come from Seir, and they call themselves the Yahweh of Seir or Seir of Yahweh, whatever it is. But that info is in the records. It's in the Egyptian records.
So what language is it in?
It's in Egyptian.
So how do we know that's Yahweh in Egyptian?
I think one of the scholars who knew Hebrew and Egypt, he translated it. It's something that it's actually in my book. I could just pull up my book and tell you exactly what it says and from who. But regardless of that, that's the possibility that could be true kind of points out a hypocrisy. But because nobody technically knows where Yahweh is from.
Well, I mean, we say we do know. It's the name that God revealed.
Right, according to the biblical text, right.
Yeah, but I mean, there's interesting evidence, that Katif Hanam silver scroll, it's got that priestly blessing from the book of Numbers in it, and it's got the tetragrammaton in it. That's 600 BC.
Mhm.
That's the thing is with the Hebrews is, they're nomadic in the beginning. And so they're not building monuments that are permanent. So we don't have the luxury of saying, well, look, they had this statue or this palace because they weren't there yet. They're nomadic people. Now I understand people then can also debate that and say, well, actually they came from Canaan and all this kind of stuff. But if the biblical record has any merit to the aspect, they're nomadic. So they're not building civilizational structures. They're carrying scrolls with them. But every now and then you get these little things like this silver amulet, and then you see the tetragrammaton. There's other examples where you do see Yahweh in an older context. And I think that's important because why could it not just be the case that it is the God who was of the Hebrews, and then we could discuss, was it really revealed to them or not? But yeah, I think
I'm sorry, I mentioned the wrong information. I was talking about the Shasu of Yahweh. Bless you. And I was talking about the Kuntalit Arjud, which is around 800 BC, and it's a Hebrew religious site in northeastern Sinai dating to the 8th century. Inscriptions have been found giving blessings in the name of Yahweh of Samaria and Yahweh of Teman, as well as Yahweh's consort Asherah. And the documentation of the Shasu in Egypt, the Egyptians allowed Shasu tribes to cross their border to water their cattle in the delta regions of Egypt. Inscriptions from Seti I, Ramesses II, and Ramesses III describe clashes against the Shasu throughout Canaan. The annals of Ramesses II record that the Shasu were spies for the Hittites during the Battle of Kadesh. The documentation of the Shasu on the Egyptian walls became even more important since their deity worship was revealed. Ramesses II had a papyrus list that mentioned the land of the Shasu of Yahweh, a clear reference to the name of the Israelite God Yahweh, and that's from Robert Redford, 1992, page 273. Yahweh worship was also not documented anywhere else before this on the historical record.
Yeah, so that's right. I just dropped a link in the chat from a website that I love, Associates for Biblical Research, and Clyde Billington's got an article from 2010 on this that was originally in Artifacts, a magazine I used to subscribe to, and they talk about that. And so the question is that evidence that it came from Egypt, though? So I don't I don't agree that it's evidence that that's sort of the origin of it, for lack of a better word. In fact, it's kind of a good thing because it shows an old example of the tetragrammaton, Yahweh, and it's pretty old. What is it? Late 15th century BC. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's the Shasu, and it points to them coming from Edom. That was the point I was trying to make. Although they were in Egypt, they were from Seir. It pointed out that they were from Seir, which is in Edom, the people who worship Yahweh. But that's a continuing study, and I don't even want to get too deep into the whole Edom study. But the bottom line is, you think the whole thing about Edom being a white man is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good reason to think that that's the case. And, if you take the whole Hebrew Israelite spectrum, it's not a standard. It's not like everyone agrees on that. Lots and lots of Israelites would hold that white folks are Japhetic. All this is a little oversimplified, in my opinion, to say this people group came from this son of Noah and that kind of stuff. It's way simplistic when you're talking about millennia and you're talking about massive movements of people and migrations and all kinds of intermixing freely through conquering, all kinds of other ways. And it's just these sort of simplistic one-to-one correlations, I think, are problematic in the first place. But it's not even like every Hebrew Israelite believes in that in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is not a given. It's just they're prominent about it. They're just kind of prominent about it is all. But yeah, I'd encourage people to check out that issue, the article I dropped, because they do interact with Redford's position in there and show some challenges with it.
All right, thank you, Vocab. But before we get into the next segment, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in for the show this evening. Every Thursday we're going to be on. Of course, I'm on Sundays from 10 a.m. to around 1 or 2 p.m. Israel bound. I'm about to get into the other topic, but let me hear what the main speaker of today, Vocab, has to say first, and then you're going to get 2 minutes to respond after Vocab speaks. So let me just take this off the screen. This is the whole Edom. So we're done with the Edom conversation for now. Israel, Vocab, it's on you. The question on the table is, can salvation be for everybody or just Israel? Or it should have been, is salvation for everybody or just Israel? That's what it should have been.
Yeah, we just mentioned Garfield about how not all Hebrew Israelites agree on the identification of Edom as white folks, right? Well, most Hebrew Israelites don't think it's true that other nations can't be saved. Now, I don't grant the supposition with the people group that they identify as Israelites. I think there's massive problems with their theory. But if you granted it and referred to other peoples besides whoever they define as Israel, as Gentiles or something like that, let's just say you granted that, right? Most of them still don't believe that salvation is only for their group. Now, their understanding of salvation, I don't think is exactly biblical. And their designation about what it's like for non-Israelites to be saved, I think is problematic. They kind of create a kind of a racialized caste system and all that. But nonetheless, if you talk to Israel of God, Church of God and Saints of Christ, the ones on the Christian side, not the Judaistic side, although I think they agree on this point, they're going to hold that you do have a place for Gentiles within the fold. And you have even some One West groups who realize that, like GOCC. So this is really a minority position, this idea that, only we're Israel and only Israel can be saved. It's a minority position. It's not even a position that is like a given across the board of their religion, And you got a lot of examples in Scripture of this. And of course, people forget the Bible didn't start with Israelites, Bible didn't even start with Israelites. It started with Adam. He's not an Israelite. It wasn't until Abraham where you say, okay, and now we're going to start this new people. But what's the whole point? Well, if we read the New Covenant and believe it, Garfield, what's the whole point? The point is to get the Messiah. What's the Messiah going to do, Garfield? He's going to fulfill the Abrahamic blessing. What's the Abrahamic blessing? Well, it's a couple of things, but one thing is to bless the families of the earth. So the seed of Israel ultimately is Christ. And Garfield, I challenge you, go up to a Hebrew Israelite camp and just eavesdrop on any given conversation they have when they're out there. I would be shocked if you found them talking about the resurrection. I'd be shocked if you found them talking about the crucifixion. You know what I mean? Because they don't really talk about that. Yet when you read the New Testament, you see that Jesus's mission is to go on the cross. He refers to it as his passion in one translation. He says the Son of Man came to die. Meaning this is very central. And if you read the literature narrative of the Gospels, it's clear that everything that happens prior to the crucifixion is simply prelude in a manner of speaking. Not that it's not important. I'm obviously not saying that. I'm saying that it's all driving towards one point, which is the crucifixion. Then you have this climax. That's the resurrection, right? And then when you read the book of Acts, Garfield, what are they talking about? In every synagogue they go to, every city they go to, whether they're talking to Jews or Gentiles, Garfield, they're talking about the resurrection. Now, Garfield, you don't believe that that's true because I don't believe that you believe Jesus rose from the dead, which is sad because that means you think after death we close our eyes and that's it. But the resurrection, even I think you would read it and recognize it's a central message of the New Testament. It's all they're on in the book of Acts. It's what they point to. And when you read the letters to Paul, it's even more strong to see the crucifixion and the resurrection being so prominent. But yet, why is that not the main discussion with these groups? Because they're not really following the crux, the center element of the New Testament, or really the scriptures as a whole, because they have a different agenda. They're not on the main message the Bible's on. And I think most people can see that. The idea is, by God's grace, some of the people who are off on that, they get to see that too. That's what I'm hoping. I saw Unk come in. Shout out to Unk.
Hey, you know what? In response to what you just said, peace on Unk. I'm gonna get you in a
What's
second.
good? What's good, Vocab? What's up there, Mr. Garfield? How you doing, brother? How y'all
Hey,
brothers
no problem, beloved. I'm gonna get you in a second.
Good to see you.
To
Hey,
respond to what
nice
Vocab-
telescope.
science. We pushing science all day. I think teaching the Bible as far as crucifixion and resurrection is not attractive to the audience. A more polarizing argument about Edom is the white man and that you're going to be saved and he's not is more of a pull up to the people, are more attractive than preaching crucifixion and resurrection. So that's how I see it. Because if you think about it, I mean, I was in the when I in my NOI days, we used to teach. I used to teach John 8:32-44. Jesus, you are of your father the devil, and tell all the white folks you are the devil, and this is what it's talking about. I used to preach that when I was in college. But I'm just saying, that was attractive to people who we want to pull in. So when you have a message you want to pull people in, teaching black people that hey, you this guy got crucified and he's resurrected and he's going to save you is not as sexy as teaching about Edom and try to find some sort of dichotomy between you as a European and black folks and attracting black people. So that's how I see it. I don't think it's as attractive. So what you're saying, you might be right. You might be onto something, which I've heard you said before, but there's just facts. Teaching that it's not sexy. It's not sexy enough. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
if you want to add on to that before I get to Israel bound, but go ahead.
Well, are you able to show a picture on your end or
you want to share? Hey, by the way, Vocab, are you a moderator in my chat? Because you said you posted a link. I didn't see it. I didn't see a link.
Oh, I guess I'm not.
You're supposed to be a moderator. I think I gave.
Let me see here. Let me see.
Make a quick comment so I could make you a moderator.
I can't. No, I'm not. I'm not a moderator.
All right, let's make a quick comment so I could give you a badge real quick.
Well, just talking about this is not insignificant. Like, so I understand you guys don't hold the New Testament, Ankh and Garfield as like authoritative, right? But I feel like, but I feel like if you read it through, you would at least see these people keep on talking about the crucifixion and resurrection of this guy named Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even if we don't agree on the particulars, lots of particulars, we understand that's a central focus message. And, a lot of the Hebrew Israelites I interact with, they think Vocab's big beef with us, they think, is that he's saying we're not the people. No, that's not the main beef. The main beef is you're holding a Bible while missing the message of the gospel, the message of the New Testament of Christ crucified and resurrected. That's the point. You can think you're an Israelite all day, but what about that main message? And so that's what we're on. It's not just about the identity. That's not really the main problem. That's not the main issue. At least as far as I'm concerned, that's not the main challenge that I would have.
All right, Israel. I'm gonna let you jump in, Israel. Bound. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Robert, whatever your name is, right? Why don't you take the time instead of saying Garfield is fake or whatever you want to say in the chat? Why don't you take the time and just come on the panel and have a conversation? I'm not fighting with nobody in the chat. So what I do normally is I normally time people out and give you an opportunity to come on the channel and talk. Me and Israel Bound, this is how me and Israel Bound became cool. He came on, he could come on. Now he could come on freely. I ain't worried about him talking or saying anything because I know what type of dude he is. You know what I'm saying? But come on and have a conversation, bro. You're going to get your chance. Everybody tonight is getting 2 minutes because out of respect for the main person who I invited on today. But Israel Bound, go ahead. You got 2 minutes. Vocab kicked himself off by accident. Hold on, let me get the clock for you.
He did it on purpose.
No, he ain't did it on purpose, man. Let's give him off you.
Israel bound.
Before you go, Israel Bound. Let go and then let's give Vocab a little time to jump back on. All right? Well, go ahead, brother. What's up?
Oh, I was just wondering if the conversation I heard, and I think you agree, Garfield, that there's a historical Jesus. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And Israel Bond would say the same, right?
Mhm.
Israel Bond, you saying the same?
That what now? What was your question?
That there's a historical Jesus that's talked about in the
Yes.
gospel.
Yeah.
Vocab, you agree to that too, am I correct?
That there's a historical Jesus?
Yes. It's spoken
Yeah.
about and his life and times is in the New Testament, correct?
Yeah, that's a primary place.
Primary. Okay, so all four of us agree. We agree that there's a historical Jesus Christ. Now, if it's a historical Jesus Christ, then that means he must be human. We all agreeing with that. Am I correct?
Yes, he's fully human. That's right.
Fully human. Correct.
100%.
100% human. So we know how humans work. There's RNA, there's DNA, there's sperm, there's ovum. So for Jesus Christ to be a human, he has to have chromosomes. 46 chromosomes. Half of that come from your mother, half of that come from your father. Do we agree to that? The human beings have to have chromosomes coming from their mother and their father to create the package to make them human. Can we agree to that?
Yeah, humans have chromosomes. Yeah.
Okay. And so if we're saying that Jesus is a human, he has to be human to be historical because only historical figures are human. And if he's human, then he has to have chromosomes, meaning he has to have a mother and a father. So I'm just trying to figure out where's the disconnect. Where are we disconnecting at here? So
Sure.
Vocab. So did Jesus actually have a father?
Jesus had no physical father. No.
Okay.
Hold on. Before we go any further,
Uh-huh.
before you ask or question everybody and whatever, just know that we have a specific topic that we're talking about before you go into everything. All right. I think you missed it. But let me time you out for 1 second so you could catch up with what we're doing. All right. Right now,
stop me right there.
I stopped you right there for a reason because you're going.
They can't get past it anyway. I'm fine. Go ahead.
All right. Cool. All right. Israel Mount. I'm gonna put the timer on in respect to what Vocab said earlier, and this is your 2-minute response to what he said about salvation. Are you ready, Israel Bound? I'm gonna start the clock for 2 minutes as soon as you get off mute. You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, here you go.
So, okay, yeah. So the notion that a minority of Israel.
I'm sorry. If you need to share the screen or a scripture, or you need me to read something.
I don't.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
The notion that the majority of Israelites don't believe that salvation is only for Israel is preposterous. Like nobody even believes that. I don't even know where he got that notion from. Also, the fact that he said the main focus of the Bible is about the death and resurrection of Christ, which I don't necessarily disagree of, but more importantly is that death and resurrection was directed to a certain nation of people. Hence, he said that he mentioned all these covenants that God made with Abraham, such and such. All those covenants have been fulfilled. The last covenant that he made was with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. That's who he made his last covenant with, and it has not been fulfilled. So that's what we're directing our attention on. Don't let them sweep you out to Abraham and none of that, because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about as far as salvation being for everybody, because that starts at the new covenant that the Most High made with Israel and with Judah. Now, I'll let them respond to that.
Israel Bound, do you think that the writings of Paul are canonical?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you remember what he said he was only going to know? You know, when he there was something he said, this is what I'm going to be on, this is what I'm going to talk about, this is all I am going to know.
Yeah, sure. Let us know.
No, I'm so like
I'm familiar.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mentioned it briefly, right? About what he said, where he's like, "Hey, look, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna talk about right here."
You guys doing a back and forth, or
yeah, if that's okay. Yeah,
you want to do a back and forth Israel bound?
Yeah, sure.
Here,
All right, cool.
Let me show
I don't
you.
want to interrupt and then put it on a timer, so I'm not going to do no timer right now. Go ahead, back and forth. If you're asking a question, I'm gonna put it on the screen for you, Vocab.
So, like, the Apostle Paul right here, 1 Corinthians chapter 1 says, Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, and not with words of eloquent wisdom, lest the cross of Christ be emptied of its power. For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. Now, look at verse 22. Jews demand a sign and Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. But those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. So what is the central concern of the Apostle Paul in regards to preaching here, Israel bound? It's the cross of Christ. He's saying that if I do something else or make that a main focus, right? He says that then it empties the cross of Christ of its power. He's not literally saying that the cross actually becomes worthless or weak. He's saying that if I focus on something else, it's as if I'm doing that. So,
Right.
I don't understand in these conversations, a lot of people will act like it's a trick or a trap or some kind of distraction. We're just saying, look at the main message here. This is the main thing that he's talking about, and he's not the only one. You read the apostolic sermons in the book of Acts, and you'll see that that's what it's really about. In fact, this is why Paul's being persecuted. In Galatians 5, he says, in that case, the offense of the cross has been removed. He's saying if I preach something else, like circumcision in this case, then the offense of the cross has been removed. So what's the offense that Paul's talking about? It's the cross of Christ. Look at Galatians 6. He's saying some people were trying to push the law to get away from the power of the cross and its offense, only in order that they may not be persecuted for the cross of Christ. So they're not getting persecuted because they're Israelites or something like that. They're getting persecuted because of their message here. So why don't Israelites focus on the cross of Christ? Why is that not a main feature of what you talk about? Why is that something that we don't hear much about from you? Yeah.
Well, I think to answer your question is that those teachings do go on amongst Israelite camps and leaders amongst their schools and congregations. But when you hear what you hear, is because it's always a confrontational situation. But back to the situation, what you're talking about is, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, right? But it's not the question or the point. The point is, who is Paul talking to about this cross?
Well, I mean, right there in the verses I just read, he said Jew and Gentile alike.
Okay, right. So we know what Jews are. Those are people either born.
Hold on one second, my brother. Can you put that scripture back up, Vocab, so we can show the audience?
Hold on.
Hey, Garfield, you don't mind me getting in this, right? I know where they at.
You're good. They got to tell you, though, because this is supposed to be a back and forth between both of them. They want you to come in.
Yeah, I'll put it right back up right now.
Okay,
but
I'm going to stay out of it then.
I mean, Israel bound, I mean, you're saying, well, because it's confrontation. But, brother, I listened to thousands of hours of Hebrew Israelite teaching. You do not hear the cross of Christ preach. When they're out there on the street, you don't hear it preach. In the classroom settings, you hardly ever hear it preach. You never hear it preach in any situation. So I hear you, but you're running cover for them for the fact that they do not focus on what the New Testament focuses on. But go ahead. I'll put the verse back up.
So,
hold on, this verse, hold on, Israel Bound, before you respond to that. This verse, and why it's important, because Israel Bound asks a very good question, and Vocab returned and said, well, it mentions regarding Jew or Greek. So I would love for this point he made, for him to actually literally show it on the screen so that we could build on it.
Okay, it's right here, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, and the specific reference was verse 23. We preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles, but to those who are called both Jews and Greeks. And you know what's so beautiful about this verse, why it destroys one Westism, is because up here, what Paul's describing is clearly Greek customs in their understanding and their culture. So you can't change it to some kind of other Greek later on. Here's what I mean. Just in the verse itself, I'm not going to go anywhere else. Just look right here. Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom. So what are the Greeks? What are they known for? The tradition of Socrates and Plato and Aristotle and the Stoics and the Epicureans, and the list goes on and on about the Greek philosophical schools and how wisdom was their calling card, so they thought. And the Romans even respected that, and that's why they carried on some of those traditions, and that's why you have the church being born in a Greco-Roman world as far as the dominant culture. Greeks seek wisdom. He's talking about Greeks there. So when we go just a line later, and he says, to those who are called both Jews and Greeks, we can't change it to something else besides actually Greeks. This verse.
What did it say? It said, what did you say? Hold up. Go back to that verse. Not the
I'm
one
on
you
it.
just
It's right.
you
It's
know,
right
the
here,
one you
brother.
just quoted, the one you just quoted from.
It's on
The
the
one you
screen.
said where those who were called both Jews and Greeks.
It's highlighted, brother.
Oh, that's the
24.
one that's highlighted.
Yeah, verse 24.
Okay, remember I got an impairment. Don't get impatient here.
Oh, okay. But okay, 1 Corinthians 1:24 says, but to those who are called both Jews and Greeks. And my point was the
Okay,
verse.
to those, hold up. That's my point is right there, what you just said. To those who are called both Jews and Greeks. you don't see it. I'm sure anybody who understands the English language understands what just happened here. I'm sure all of y'all understand what just happened here. To those, referencing a group of people who are called Jews and Greeks. Who's called Jews and Greeks? Those. It's not talking about two different nations of people. Israel bound can always get crickets. All you got to do is sit long enough and listen. Hey, but besides that, scratch that. Act like I didn't even kill you with that. Let's go to
No,
the.
I don't want to go anywhere.
Let's stay right here, brother.
Okay. Okay.
don't-
All right. Well, let's continue. Let's continue.
Hold on.
Okay.
I don't understand what you're saying. Why you think that
He's
that's a point?
Yes, you do.
No, I think it's a horrible point because you're basing upon a misunderstanding of English, which is even worse.
No. What are we reading? What are we reading? English?
Yeah, but it's from Greek.
It
but
says to those.
You don't even need the Greek to understand this, brother.
It says to those who are called Jews and Greeks. Now, if you don't got an understanding of that, that's on you. You're laughing at yourself because I firmly understand the English language. Furthermore, here I know laughing is not going to get you out of this.
Yeah,
Nobody finds this funny but you.
Let's
Hey,
look
listen.
at
Go
the
ahead.
screen.
Go ahead.
Let's look at the screen.
Go ahead.
Time out. So we're not talking over each other.
Yeah.
Let's mute up and let Vocab respond to what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. But we preach Christ crucified, right? A stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles, but to those who are called both Jews and Greeks. So he says here, the Jews and Greeks are the ones who are called. It's quite obvious. The both there,
Okay.
the both there.
Hold
Hold
on,
on,
beloved.
the
You gotta
both
let
there
him
is
finish.
it's an article. It's te. It's te. Sometimes it can mean and, it can mean both or even in some case. It's basically what's called a particle. So it's saying out of those who are called, the Jews and the Greeks, Christ is the power of God. I don't understand why you're thinking.
I'm about to show you.
You need to explain to
I'm
us.
about to show you.
Okay, but
Okay,
here's
I'm about to.
hold on. I need you to make sure you do this in the context of verse 22, because 22 says, "For Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom." That's why I made that whole point about the Greek philosophical schools. So in verse 22, is it referring to Jews and Greeks or not?
So to answer your question, I actually went into this on your show that proved that you had no understanding about the history of the Northern Kingdom. I proved that.
Okay.
And everybody that's sick, the reason why you're saying that is it shows why you don't have an understanding of these scriptures that you're reading now, because you still believe that the Northern Kingdom of Israel was called or was referred to as Jews, and it never happened anywhere in the Bible. So my question to you is, do you agree with the definition of Gentiles given by the Bible, by the Strong's Concordance? Or can you give us the definition of Gentile?
Well, we got it right here.
The
We got it
going.
right
What is
here.
Going.
Gentile is just another nation besides Israel. That's
No.
all it is.
So
When it's referring to something other than Israel, it certainly is. Now, the word
Can-
ethnos just means a people.
Look.
That's all ethnos means. I got that
I
on the
got
screen
you.
too. But
Can-
hold on.
can we-
This is not from a lack of understanding of what you're talking about. Notice how you have to
Yes,
leave
it
the
is.
plain. No, you have to leave the plain meaning of the text, and that's why I set up verse 22, because I knew that you would fall into this trap. But
Mhm.
the thing is, here's the thing, Israel bound. If you read the text in its plain meaning, there's no trap. It's just simple. So when it says
Okay.
for Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom, are you trying to tell me that what that's saying is for Jews demand signs? And that means Judahites demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom. And what it means is, well, hold on, let me finish this question. I'm asking you a question. Are you telling me where it says Greeks seek wisdom, it actually means Northern Kingdom Israelites seek wisdom?
No.
Is that what verse 22 is saying?
So what
Yes or
I'm
no?
telling you is,
Yes or no?
what I'm telling you is,
Verse 22.
yes, it means Israelites, period. So what I'm telling you is,
Okay.
okay.
Israel bound.
So the reason why
Israel
I
bound.
asked,
Israel
can
bound.
somebody put the definition of Gentile on the screen?
It's on. I have it on the screen. Hold on, just I'll bring it back. When it says Greeks seek wisdom, what in your mind is making you think that that means Northern Kingdom Israelites seek wisdom? Greeks are the ones known for their philosophical schools.
Right. Were Israelites under Greek captivity?
Not at the time this was written.
Hold up. Were Israelites
Years
under
prior.
a Greek captivity? Okay,
Years
that's
prior.
fine. Were
they never
were
called
they
Greeks.
were
They were called
have you ever-
Hellenized Jews. They were called Hellenists.
why were they called Hellenized?
Because they had adopted Greek language, dress, and other things. But here's the
And
beautiful thing.
philosophy.
Sometimes there were religious
Okay,
Jews.
all right.
Hold on.
So you just
Israel
call
bound.
it.
Israel bound. Let me finish answering the
You could
question.
get mad.
The answer
You-
is
you never-
sometimes. Sometimes they did that. Here's the problem. You're a grown man who loves trafficking and ignorance. You need to stop because you don't know what you're talking about. It's problematic. You're out here saying you think Hellenist does not mean that they
That's
are
when you're on their
It
ass.
does not mean that they're pagan through and through. If you do a study of Hellenization and Israelites, you'll find out Hellenization can mean different things because there's levels of Hellenization. There are lots of Jews during Jesus's time even who, yes, adopted Greek dress. They may have Greek names. They may even eat certain Greek foods. That doesn't mean they're violating the law, by the way, but they may adopt those things. That's true. But you are silly in thinking it automatically means they adopt Greek gods. Now, sometimes they did. No one's denying that. But the proof, I'll give you proof that what I'm saying has facts to it. That's the reason why they made the Septuagint, because you had Jews who were trying to read the Bible, but they didn't know the Hebrew, so they put it into Greek. But this was done by faithful translators for faithful Jews who wanted to read the Bible, but in a language they could understand. That's the whole point of the Septuagint. So they weren't into paganism. They were into the God of their fathers, but they only knew the Greek language. So when it says Hellenized, it's saying that they had adopted some level of Greek things. It doesn't have to necessarily mean sinful though per se. But here's the point: the word you're looking for, Israel bound, is Hellenist, but it doesn't say Hellenist here. You can't conflate Hellenist with Greek because they're two different words. That's the point.
So you finished? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So all right, cool. So now, as he spoke all of that, right? Once again, he has zero understanding, because the definition of Gentile, if you look it up, it'll say usually refers to other nations outside of Israel. Usually, but not all the times, which tells you that sometimes Israelites was called Gentiles. Now, he can disagree with that. He can take that up with the Strong's Bible Dictionary. But at the end of the day, when he spoke about all these covenants, notice he speak about these covenants, but when you talk about the covenant, that the last covenant that the Most High made with somebody that I spoke about, notice he don't speak about that because it was made between Judah and Israel. And in order for that to not be the case, you have to create a lie over here. See what I'm saying? Or you have to make the Most High a lie. See, you can't take Paul and say that changed what God said. Either you have a misunderstanding or you want to call the Bible a lie. Which one is it? Because the Bible clearly says who he made this covenant with. Christ clearly said, I came only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And you're still sitting here laughing on top of that. That's what's funny. You're laughing and spewing all of this ignorance.
Yes, because on the screen we have a verse that says both Jews and Greeks. And right before
Forget
that,
what I just said. Forget the covenant that I just brought up. I just asked you about the covenant.
Well, I'll go there, but what you're trying to do is go away from the clear meaning of 1 Corinthians first.
No, the covenant was made before 1 Corinthians was ever even written. So let's talk about the covenant.
Right, the place that you will stumble on your sword there is in the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews is going to be kryptonite to the position you just laid out. But
who wrote the book of Hebrews? Who wrote the book of Hebrews?
You gotta let him finish, bro.
Here's what it says here, right? In 1 Corinthians, it says Jews demand signs and Greeks seek wisdom. It is clear that Paul is talking about Greeks. How do we know? Well, first of all, Israel bound because he uses the word Greek. He used the word Greek there. And secondly, he's describing a common characteristic that was known about them. They were known to be seekers of wisdom. That is a specific thing to the Greek culture and way of life. So what he's saying is the cross, and this is actually, this shows Garfield has a better understanding of the Bible in lots of ways than you. Garfield made the point that it's not attractive to preach the cross. Why? Because a lot of Jews saw it as a sign of defeat or failure in the face of Roman opposition. So here you see the Jews are like, give me a sign, and the sign can't be that you die at the hands of the oppressor. Greeks seek wisdom. They're saying, how is it wise to have your guy get killed? And then you're saying he's going to give you your body back, when the body was viewed by lots of Greeks because of the influence of Neoplatonism as a negative thing. And that's why when Paul was at the Areopagus, they laughed at him. You got to read the contextual clues so you can understand these things better. They're there, they're plain, but you just gloss over them in your rush to ethnocentrism. Now, right after verse 22, it says, we preach Christ crucified. Again, you just came up with excuses why Israelites never do that. Well, it's in a confrontational. So you drop the main message of the New Testament because it's in a confrontation.
It ain't for you. Why should we talk to you about
because you probably shouldn't talk to me because I'm going to defeat you every time we debate.
No, so you're severely getting drugged on here. I don't know what you're seeing here, but I'm sure everybody sees.
Can I show you what I'm drugged? Here's what I'm saying.
You're getting drugged. Getting drugged.
I'm
saying, I need to put the timers back on,
brother. I think you must be drugged to have these positions, because if you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Everything about it tells you that it's referring to actual Gentiles and Greeks. We preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. He's not saying a stumbling block to Southern Israelites and folly to Northern Israelites. By the way, guess what? If he wanted to say that, did you know there's Greek words to actually say that? But he's not saying that. So you don't get to change the words of the Bible to suit your tradition and your religion, Israel bound. But that's what you want to do. And it shows how you worship man and you don't worship God. And I pity you until you want to read the Bible correctly to learn the truth. You're going to be stuck in a man-made religion because it makes you feel better about yourself. To those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. So no one is afraid. I have the Greek on the left side. I have the English on the right hand. And you cannot escape this. This is just
okay, can I ask you this?
Hold on.
Can I jump in though?
I'll jump in for a second because I want somebody who's not a believer to have a conversation. Say like, how do you see what they're talking about, and how do you reflect on this?
So I mean, first of all, it's clear that the New Testament is the formulation of a new religion. It's breaking away because the first Christians would have been Jews, and that New Testament is kind of formalizing the new religion, and that's based off of Paul. So and vocab, am I wrong with that? So the Hebrews messed this up because they don't look at it from the position that the New Testament has come with a new testimony, and it's a new message, and this message is being taken to the Gentiles. It's taken to all nations, the known, I would say the known nations. So that's clear. So to try to fight that is crazy. But I would also say, let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
That's my point. Yeah, I'm saying that's how it's actually constructed. It's not like it was one full written book. It's clear that that's when Christianity becomes its own religion. Am I wrong, vocab?
The New Covenant is a continuation of Old Testament, but it's not Judaism 2.0. So in that sense,
it's not Judaism. It's a whole new thing.
That's right.
And the difference is, and we read that Jesus said, "Go not by the way of the Gentiles." Am I correct in that? Vocab,
yeah, in the middle of the book, but of course Jesus talked to Gentiles himself, like in John 4.
And John 4. No, but I'm just saying when he sent his message, he sends a message and telling them who to go teach.
Starts with Israel.
He said, don't teach. Yeah, he said, do not teach the Gentiles, right?
Well, but remember at the end of Matthew, he says, go into all the world, teaching all the nations.
No, he's dead then, though.
He's not dead in Matthew 28.
He's dead yet?
Yeah, Matthew 28. So you're right in the middle of the book, as far as Matthew, that's what he says. But at the end of the book, that's not, because the end of the mission is not Israel, right? So I'll just bring it up on the screen real quick to show you what I'm saying. But I'll let you make your point while I bring it up. Go ahead.
The point is, so the mission actually changed. And I think that's pivotal. Let me come on.
It didn't.
I didn't sit here and listen to y'all. But come on, man.
You're right. I'm sorry, brother.
Come on, man. I'm trying to give you a different perspective here. So vocab, no, I'm looking at this as literature. I'm not looking at this as because Garfield cut me off and asking y'all some important questions that I needed to ask so I could have this discussion here. So I'm saying if this is a story, a real story about a human being, then there's there's certain things that would have to qualify him as a human being. So I think we can all agree to that. But the point I want to make here is that it is clear that the New Testament is a book that is expanding ancient traditions, but it's modernized, and that's why Christianity is so successful in those times, because he said it's just the one sacrifice you got to be made. Prior to that, Nile Valley Africans, they were sacrificing, everybody was doing sacrificing, and so they come with the slick thing was only one sacrifice has to be made. And he's already done that, and he has died for your sins. So that's the sacrifice. That's the willing sacrifice. So the New Testament is breaking away. Paul, he extends the ministry to all the Gentiles, and I always talk about how he brought in a lot of money. I don't think you'll disagree with that, vocab. He brought in more money than anybody.
Paul brought in a lot of money?
Yeah, for the churches.
Well, he had
fundraising, not for himself. I'm saying he put the system in place, made sure the money was accountable, but he did a lot of fundraising out there with the Gentiles because they do ones with the money. Am I wrong? Am I saying something wrong?
Well, he had a big offering for the Jerusalem church because they were the most persecuted. That's true. But he himself was a temp. Well, there's one main collection we know about. It's for the Jerusalem church because they were the one who had fallen the hard times the most. So that is mentioned in the New Testament. But I don't know about a lot of money. I mean, he had to be a tent maker.
No, I didn't say for itself, though.
Right,
you can be a top-notch fundraiser and not take the money. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, that's the point. And I think this is important. And so this whole ministry, right, expands to include everybody in the known world, which makes sense. That's why the religion of Christianity was accepted in Egypt, because it was considered to be the poor man's religion. It was cheap. All you got to do is just believe in Christ and you're good. Prior to that, you had to pay the priest. You had to pay for the sacrifices. So Christianity becomes palatable. So I get why it's successful. Then it had, the printing press and those things and global technology. I mean, the ability to go global with it. They had the ships. And so this is why it's popular. So I would never argue, Israel, you're not going to win this, because it is clear that particular, the New Testament is actually written to separate itself from Judaism. Because they said, look, you're bound by the law, and he breaks the law. That's why Christians say you don't got to eat pork. Let me finish. You don't got to eat pork. You don't got to do none of that. That's why the New Testament is constructed so that people can follow Christ and break away from the ways of old. That's why it was made. As a person who reads stories and read books, this is what I see in the literature.
Y'all tripping.
Am I wrong,
What,
Vocab?
what you?
Is this what's occurring or what?
Oh no,
Now
hey,
you
man,
may
come
say this.
on, man.
You got some
Let me-
good
let me say
points,
this.
but the idea of it being palatable, that's one thing we would have contention about. Because remember in the beginning of this, and I had the picture on the screen where they're making fun of a Christian named Alaxamanos for worshiping a crucified God. They had a man, and then they had a picture of a donkey's head. This is one of the earliest pictures of the cross we have. And ironically, one of the earliest pictures of the cross we have is somebody making fun of a Christian for for believing in it. So the idea that it's palatable. I mean, remember, Unc, that they're going around saying that their main guy was crucified. That's not like a mainstream notion. You know what I mean? This is not something that you would brag about, or you wouldn't want to have your guy be at the center of your religion when he died at the hands of the oppressor.
Time period for this.
You know what I'm
Time
saying?
period, my fault. Time period for the picture.
I believe 250 or so. Let me make sure.
So that's before Constantine. I don't want to talk about anything before Constantine because
Wait,
he
why
made
not,
Christianity
brother?
legal.
Well, yeah, but
So all the
yeah,
mocking and
200.
stuff go out the door. All the
Yeah.
mocking go out the door. Once he give that stamp for it, right, and he makes Christianity legal, then it's fashionable. So all the mocking and all that is out the door. I like to talk about those time periods.
Well, I think what happened in 200 is important because this shows the early stages, but they were already preaching a crucified Christ prior to Constantine. So you said it was palatable, but my point is they're preaching a crucified guy. That's not a mainstream notion that you would want to brag about unless it was true.
No,
true
I
of your
get
guy.
you.
And then with Constantine, it's true within certain elements of the known world that Christianity became fashionable, if we want to use that term, post Constantine. But there was other parts of the known world where Christian missionaries had already went, and Constantine didn't have power there. You know, it took him a while to have power in the East. Eventually, he moved over to Constantinople. But you had that, plus you had Christians in what was now known as China and India, and Constantine didn't really have any kind of power in these places, and so it's not like everywhere. Yes, in the West, and to a certain extent in the east of what was known as the Roman Empire, sure. But remember, they're preaching a crucified Jesus for 300 years prior to Constantine, 300 some years.
Nope. I like what the discourse is. I'm not saying Christianity popped up out of nowhere. It took its licks like anything else. It's a new religion, and that's my point. It's a new belief. That's my point. I'm not knocking that. And of course, it took its lumps and it's ridicule and all that. But I'm saying the way it moved, by the time it gets to Rome, by the time it gets to back in the Constantine, but by the time the book starts to get canonized, they have their arguments. We talked about this last week, I think, Garfield. They had their arguments over the canonization, and they reached their final canon later on. I'm saying it's formulated based off the Roman Empire and the Catholic Church, help produce the canon, and it is clear.
But,
that's why I keep telling
let me ask you a question.
No, don't ask me. I'm not.
Let me
finished.
ask you a
Then
question.
You can ask me the question. That's what I'm trying to tell the Israelite brother, that the thing is fashioned to break away from the old law. I think that's important. Matter of fact, I think that's important for ancient indigenous religions now. They got to upgrade their thing. Got to make it more, more palatable, more easy to do. I'm just saying Christianity is one of the first religions of the book. Judaism and Christianity, Islam, they're actually religions of the book. And this, you see this for the first time in history, actually, where you start to get a lineal history. And I think that's important for the listeners to kind of get that. The way they constructed it, the way they put it together. And I think that was real dope. That's all I'm saying. So you're not going to be able to defeat the fact that my point is that they made it to break away from Judaism. That's my point. You might not think so.
Wow.
Okay, you probably think the creator came down and I'm saying, as a person to read literature, you can see the way this is how Paul comes in. He writes his letters, which y'all call, I don't think a letter is scripture, but you can say it is. And he writes it in such a way where now it's a separate thing from Judaism. Well constructed.
Okay, so where do we read about Israelites being in Greek captivity?
You say what?
Where do we read about Israelites being in Greek captivity?
And Josephus and the Apocrypha, to a certain extent,
Okay.
and from the Roman historians, places like that. So you don't want to talk about the cross at all, then?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. But what I'm saying, because the cross ain't for everybody. That's the point. You talking about the cross, you talking about it's salvation for everybody. What do they got to do with the cross?
What does salvation have to do with the cross?
No, what does salvation for everybody have to do with
The fact that
cross?
Jesus said in John 12:32, I'll be lifted up and I'll draw all men unto me. It literally has something to do
Yeah.
with it. John
Okay.
12:32, Jesus
Okay.
said, if I be
Okay.
lifted up, and it says he's referring to his death on the cross. He says,
See how once I get talking, then I get lost in all of these theories and rhetoric before I get to finish my
Do you mean
points.
Bible verses?
Hey, listen.
I just quoted a Bible verse to you, bro.
You can quote Bible verses to your eyes term, dude, but what you can't do is explain what happened during the Assyrian captivity and where those Israelites are at, and where's the message in the Bible in the New Testament to them, like I asked you on your show, what you couldn't answer. Since Garfield, check this out. Since according to him, the northern kingdom of the southern kingdom of Israelites, those was Jews. We all know that. That's who Christ went to, and that's who Paul was, and all of that. And then, according to his doctrine, the Gentiles are getting their message through Paul's writings and through the churches that got established. These are all Gentiles. Now, tell me, in this whole story, when God made a covenant with Judah and with Israel, where is Israel in this whole story?
Where is
You don't
Israel?
know, do you?
Yeah, no.
You don't know, do you?
Oh, I certainly do. Israel's point is to be a light to the nations and to glorify Yahweh. That's what Isaiah 49 says. It's funny you have this weird allergic reaction to Bible verses, but the Bible says Israel be a light to the nation.
Listen, I just asked him about two different nations according to the Bible, because Israel and Judah are two nations now, and they split, right? That's why in the covenant, the Most High said he would make a covenant between the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, right? So I'm asking him, in the New Testament, in anywhere in the New Testament, point out where the writings or the teachings are going out to the northern kingdom, which is Israel, not Judah, which is in the area. They're all there. Where is Israel in this conversation?
Well, Anna the prophetess is from the tribe of Asher in Luke chapter 2. Asher's a northern kingdom tribe.
We're talking about a whole nation
every time
of people.
I quote a Bible verse, you act shocked.
We're talking about a whole nation of people, and he said, Anna. We know that it. What's up?
Anna had family. Anna had family. That means she didn't pop out of nowhere. That means there was northern kingdom tribes still present. That's what that means. My goodness.
Where?
She didn't
ask you a question.
Well, do you think Anna had parents? Oh my goodness. She didn't spawn out of the ground, bro.
But y'all, no, we talking about.
Time out.
What's up?
When during the Maccabean time period, right? What was the entire area of the northern tribes and the southern tribes? What was it called?
You said what now?
What was the entire area called where the northern tribes, like during the Hasmonean time period, what was it called? Was it called Israel? Was it called Judah? Was it called half called Judah, half called Israel? What was it called as a nation?
You know, those things start
Judea. That's what you're talking about.
It was called. We would say Yehuda in the Hebrew or whatever, but it's called the whole thing.
Judea.
The northern tribes. Hold on, the northern tribes at the time, if they were there, and I'll get to that in a minute. The entire northern area and southern area was called Judea.
So that's my point. So what I'm saying is, where is the northern kingdom in this whole thing? If Christ came, I'm
gonna help. What you call it right now, right? Earlier you said, when did the Jews when were they taken under the Hellenistic period, right? I'm gonna read an article.
I didn't ask you when. I didn't.
Hold on. When under the Hellenistic people, the Greeks, when were they taken as slaves or whatever under the Hellenistic Greeks, under the Greeks, right? Thinking that the time had come to press the demand, which I had often laid before Sosibius of Tarentum and Andreas, the chief of the bodyguard, from the emancipation of the Jews, who had been transported from Judea by the king's father, for when by a combination of good fortune and courage he had brought his attack on the whole district of Kol Syria, whole Syria is what you call Syria, Palestine, or what you'd call Israel, and Phoenicia to a successful issue. In the process of terrorizing the country into subjection, he transported some of his foes and others he reduced to captivity. The number of those whom he transported from the country of the Jews to Egypt amounted to no less than 100,000. Of these, he armed 30,000 picked men and settled them in garrisons in the country districts. And even before this time, large number of Jews had come into Egypt with the Persian, and in earlier periods, still others had been sent to Egypt to help. So we have documentation right here of them being transported by the Phoenicians, of course, for the Greeks, the king's father. So we have evidence of this at this time. And in fact, if we read further into this, they're actually locked away and they were freed after Alexander the Great died.
What point are you proving?
Hold on, because you had asked earlier, when were the Jews under the Greeks being transported or anything? That's what
the reason why I asked that was because under the Greeks, there became laws and different things put in place where it became illegal to even call yourself a Jew.
All right. When was that time period? When was that time period?
Under the Greek captivity.
Under the Greek captivity. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this.
I'm saying.
Hold on. Do you remember in you read Nehemiah 2 and Ezra 2 and Nehemiah 7, right? Where they talk about the 42,000 that came back. Did you know 12? If you notice, how many was called Judeans and how many was called Israel? When they came back from
right off.
All right, 12,000 was called Israel. When they said 12,000 was called Israel, what is that referring to? Is that referring to southern tribes or northern tribes?
No, that's referring to northern tribes.
All right, so that means northern tribes came back, right? So northern tribes were in Israel that were brought back. So we have documentation from Ezra and Nehemiah of northern tribes. And also, how many goats did they sacrifice for how many tribes? Didn't they sacrifice 12 goats to refer to the sacrifice of sin for the 12 tribes? So if the 12 tribes weren't present, why is the priesthood is documenting Ezra 6? Hold on. In Ezra 6, the 12 tribes, you have 12 he-goats or whatever. So what happened is there's this notion, I've heard this so much time from Israelites all the time, or of the One West persuasion, always talk about who came back, because what happened is people got to understand history. Remember when Assyria did this? I don't know if people are familiar with this, right? Let me just put this on the screen real quick and I'll give you the map right back. All right. Let's look at this map real quickly here. We have the Assyrian exile, the Assyrian Empire, right? I'm going to put a map on the screen real quickly just to make a quick point. So we have the Assyrian Empire, and I'm going to put this big on the screen so everybody could read this for themselves. All right, look at this right here. I'm going to have this right here, and I'm going to put the Babylonian Empire. So as soon as I take it off, I'm going to show everybody what it is. Babylonian Empire with a map. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Beautiful. Do we have a wiki? Do we have a wiki article? We need a wiki article. That would be perfect. I just want to make a quick point, just to point out. Hold on 1 second here. Wikipedia Babylon. Here we go. See if we have another map here. No, let's get to this right here. This is perfect. So this is the Babylonian Empire right here. Perfect. All right. So if you look at this right here on the screen, let me take this off the screen. I want to make a point to everybody. If you look at the Assyrian exile, right, where the northern tribes went, I think a lot of folks miss this argument. If you look at the map on the screen, y'all, this is all where the green is right here. This is the Assyrian Empire and the Neo-Assyrian Empire. So from the 800s all the way down to the 600 BC, this is the Assyrian Empire. What happened is when the Jews were taken, they were taken to Gozan, and they were taken by the river somewhere around this side here, wherever they were taken. All right. Now, if you look at this map, let's move from this map for 1 second. Remember when the Babylonians took over, they took over the areas that the Assyrians control except Egypt. They never controlled Egypt. They took over. So now I'm going to show you the Babylonian map. So when in 609 BC, when the Babylonians took over, they're taking over all the areas that Babylon controlled. So the descendants of the Israelites that were taken by the Assyrians now fall under the Babylonian Empire. So now the areas that they were taking, now they're taking right here. Look at this right here. And this is actually, they didn't control Egypt. So this is not even historically correct. But anyway, the point I'm making is now the Babylonians control where the descendants of the northern tribes are taken. They now control those areas. So when the Persians take over now, which had a bigger empire, which included the Mede Empire, surrounding areas and all that stuff, they now take over where the Babylonian and the Assyrians control, because the Persians had a bigger empire than both of them. So when they take over, they're taking over where the descendants of Israelites from the northern tribes were living. So when the Bible says they could return home, whether it's historical facts or not, the Bible is Cyrus is saying, if you are part of Israel's family or of Israel, he never said son, if you're God's people, that's what it says in Ezra 1 or Ezra 2:1. He said, if you're part of God's people is not the southern tribe. God's people means if you're part of Israel or the southern tribe, you have the ability to go back and return. So this is why when the people returned under Cyrus, 12,000 of them were northern Israel. So they had the ability according to Cyrus. And if you read Ezra, he says you had the option if you wanted to go back or not. So that means there's remnants of people who literally stayed back under Cyrus within the territory of the Persian Empire where they were under Babylon. So what happened now is the people that came back, there's no more lost tribes anymore, because what happened eventually is they gained back through what's called, one more map I got to show y'all. They didn't have to what you call it no more. There's no searching for no lost tribes because of what happened during the Hasmonean time period. During the Hasmonean dynasty, look at what happened now. Look at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to show you all this right now. Just Google Hasmonean dynasty and look at the Wikipedia article. This explains everything. So if you have northern tribes go back, southern tribes go back, what is the purpose of us even looking for lost tribes and arguing about stuff like that anymore? Because guess what? Look at what happened. The Hasmonean dynasty won autonomy over Israel. So look at this. Look at your screen right now. This is what happened. They started taking over all the areas back that they control, and this was called Judea. They took over the northern tribe regions and they took over the southern tribe regions. So they control all of Israel autonomously. Isn't that one of the goals of getting Israel back? This is the map. They took it back all over. So they got the whole place, and you had people from the northern tribes, and you had people from the southern tribes. So we arguing over who control what and when. They actually owned and controlled it for almost 100 years, autonomously. And I yield. Y'all could continue. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, you said, once again, you said, and I don't disagree. So the Christians are the ones who hold to the theory that the northern kingdom people in Israel at the time of the Bible, in the first century, around that time frame, was Gentiles, Samaritans, or they was half-breed Jews, or whatever the case they may call them, which is not so, because we know that Christ sent them into these areas. We're not saying that it was absent of any northern kingdom Israelites. That's in the Bible. But what I'm saying, according to what they're preaching, that the churches that are among, I asked God Logic the same thing on his show. He said that all the churches that Paul wrote the letters to were non-Israelite churches. And that's what Vocab Malone believed too. You'll find him on record somewhere saying that as well. He never said these were a mixture of Jews. If he did, I'll stand corrected. But as far as I'm concerned, they all believe the same thing. So they say that these are non-Israelites. So What I'm saying, if God made a covenant with both kingdoms, then you have to be able to account for the message that's going to the northern kingdom as it went to the southern kingdom. They're saying that this northern kingdom message was taken by Gentiles, when we know that the northern kingdom, the whole entire northern kingdom, went into captivity because of idolatry. These were not law keepers. These were not people of the circumcision. These were not people who knew anything about the heritage of God and what he wanted from them. That's why they were referred to as lost sheep of the house of Israel, the northern kingdom, because southern kingdom Jews were never referred to. Well, northern kingdom Jews can be referred to Israel if you refer to them as a whole nation. But northern kingdom Jews northern kingdom Israelites would never be referred to as Jews ever. But southern kingdom Jews.
No. Hold on a second. Let's say that again loud for the audience. So we have this.
Okay, listen. So here, let me make sure I say this straight. Let me start off. Let me make sure.
Because I'm going to prove you wrong right now.
Okay.
I'm going to prove you wrong right now. Let me just get my files real quickly. You just said,
right,
and correct me if I'm wrong, that they were never called. Say that again. They who?
So listen, as a nation, you can call that whole entire nation, all 12 tribes included, Israel. But when they split, they became two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. So the northern kingdom being Israel or Ephraim, or the southern kingdom being Judah. Now, you will never see northern kingdom Israelites referred to as Judah. Hold up, as Jews, unless they live in the area of Judea. That you know what I'm saying? Like Paul was called a Roman.
No, that can't be true. When they were brought back from wrong. That cannot be true. That cannot be true, because when they were brought back from under the Cyrus, they called it was interchangeable. Israel and Judah was interchangeable. That's why I brought up Ezra 6. I'm gonna show you in a second. Give me a few minutes. But let me have my brother respond to that vocab, and then we take it from there.
Responding nothing.
Can't hear you. You're on mute.
You're on mute, vocab.
Sorry, apologies.
The African God came down and muted you out.
What's his name so that I can know who he is?
Funny guy.
Oh, he ain't got no name? Okay.
Hey, vocab. Not trying to mess up the conversation because y'all about to put my ass to sleep. Let me say this though. I want you to know in that conversation we had, you said, I was making a point that all the gods are right. If you're gonna believe one, then all the gods are right. You said, because you was trying to prove to me that Africans got gods. Okay, dope. Right. You proved that point. The mistake you made was you said that the African gods didn't get it right. Remember saying that? Take it back. You said they didn't get it right, because I was saying then if there's a God, then okay, you got me. Africans got gods, right? I say, well, what make them gods righter or wronger than Jesus Christ, who really is just a demigod, no matter what you say.
Yeah. Any God who came into being at a certain point in time, any God who is not in control of creation, that God's a false God. He's simply just a superhuman, because he only controls one element of creation, and he himself is not prior to creation. So how can he himself be God of creation? And that's where the God of Bible, who is the God of Africa, the God of Europe, the God of Israel, he's the God of everywhere. The God of the Bible has no beginning. It's a major difference. The problem with any polytheistic or animistic system, which you find these in some traditional African religions, although you find elements that are friendly to monotheism in certain African belief systems as well. Here's the thing. You have a God who didn't always exist. And the second you have that, he's not a God, because
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
That's the difference.
Hold on.
The difference was.
I agree. So we absolutely know when the biblical God came into being. We absolutely know that.
When?
If we're going to sit, when the Hebrews wrote the literature down, and prior to the literature, they had they do like all people do. They have oral traditions. Get past me, you stuck. I finally got you where I wanted you.
Well, what's interesting is what is in Exodus 3. In Exodus 3, when Moses says, Who sending me now? Who do I tell him? Who do I tell him? Right?
And what did he say?
And the name is I am that I am. And the fascinating thing about
what you see is what you get. Keep going.
Well, see, the Hebrew verbal form there is from a verbal form that means to be or to exist. And so, the amazing thing about this is when you have the God of the Hebrews, if you want to use that terminology, reveal himself in the most personal covenantal way, it's a name that refers to what theologians call his aseity. What that means is the fact that he needs none. He's not dependent upon anything else. He exists outside of all that, prior to all that. Notice his very name has to do with the fact of his existence. Whereas if you have like Poseidon, he's like the god of water or something like that, right? If you have Hapi, he's the god of the Nile, right? You have these gods that have these turf wars because they're sort of in charge of segments of the universe. You ask the God of the Bible, what's your name? He says, the God who always was, the God who always is. Notice the difference there. That's why when we talk about Yahweh, the false gods just don't hold a candle to him because they came into existence and they're not in charge of the universe. And the God of the Hebrews is radically different. So he stands heads and shoulders above any other false god you want to put out there, because he's eternally existent, even conceptually. Even if you don't think he exists, conceptually he's superior because he's always existed according to his self-description. You see what I'm saying? That's a big difference. That's a huge difference, man.
So Lord Nebuchadnezzar, the god of the boundary universe, that's an Egyptian deity, Lord Nebuchadnezzar. And Moses said that. God didn't say that. Moses said that. And so since we know Moses, based off of what your belief is a human being, then we recognize that it took a human being to say it. God didn't say that. And we know when the story was written. The ancient Egyptian stories are clearly older. And if you look at Lord Nebuchadnezzar, the god of the boundless universes, is in the glyphs, boundless universes. It's the same. We're faced with the same reality there. All right. So what I'm telling you is the only way we know a God came into being, no matter what you say, no matter what words you use, right, is for the doctrine to say it. Who produces the doctrine? Human beings produce the doctrine. Now I'm starting to understand that mindset you got. That mindset would tell you that, hey, if not for the Christian God, we wouldn't even have morality codes. Now I'm starting to get it now. Now I'm getting it. Since you actually think that, well, I didn't know you fall for that one, though. Y'all can move on.
I don't believe what you just said. I don't believe.
Right. And I don't believe what you just said. So
no. I'm saying you misrepresented my position. I don't think it's the case that without knowledge of the God of Israel, you won't have a morality code. Certainly there's the code of
I got you. Right, no problem. Keep moving.
Now, all I would say is that objective morality is impossible in a universe where there's not one supreme God, because if you don't have an absolute God, you can't have an absolute morality. But that doesn't mean, but humans are made in the image of God, and so they'll certainly have moral codes and laws and rules. The code of Hammurabi.
No, you're right.
Hammurabi. Yeah, so I don't hold to that. But where's the God of the where does he call the God of the boundless universe?
Lord Nebuchadnezzar.
I'm trying to find that reference.
The Lord of the uttermost limits.
Hey, it's
bounding universe.
Where's that reference at?
Lord Nebuchadnezzar is in the Meta-Nebuchadnezzar. It's in the writing. Look it up. Take your time. So I'm saying, okay. I like your criteria. So based off your criteria, the ancient Nile Valley God, right, would be the God of everybody's God. Based off that. Now, I don't like that criteria. I think it's sloppy. I actually do. And I just think you're actually reaching. I think it's like everybody think they got the God. That's all. Yeah, I don't accept that at all. I can't even believe you would even.
Yeah, but see so I'm looking it up. Who is Lord? Who is that? He's usually understood to be Ra.
No. He's the Lord of the of the outermost limits.
But see, that's the debate. My understanding
I'm
is
not
scholars
debating that.
debate. No, I
I'm
mean
not debating
scholars debate whether he's a separate god or it's a name for other gods. There's not a consensus on that, is my understanding.
No, you're wrong. Yeah.
Okay,
It's linked to the god Kepeda because the ancient what they was doing in ancient Africa traditions, they was making the totality and connection, meaning everything is connected. You know, like nature, right? You know, those natural religions, everything is connected. Those polytheists, one thing about the polytheists is that everything is connected.
Okay, so what's a scholarly source where we can get the earliest reference to Lord Nepicher?
It's definitely before Jesus Christ.
Well,
I ain't gotta look
but
that
we're
up.
talking about Yahweh, though. So it's
Definitely
not
before Yahweh.
okay, but we need to see that, right?
No, I'm
We
trying to let
need
you
it.
know the Nile Valley religion predates Judaism. Judaism only comes
I'm just
around
saying. Let's track
BCE.
this down. Let's find the.
Okay, all right. Well,
let's
finish
find
up.
the
I'm gonna
oldest
track it for you. I
reference.
got you. Get back and have fun with where your man at? Where you at? Hey, Sabio, where you at, Sabio? Sorry to hear that about your mother, man.
Sabio, sorry to hear about your mom,
Please,
bro. My
Yeah,
condolences to
appreciate
you
that,
and your
bro.
family. Full-fledged, man. If you need anything, just let us know. Reach out to us. We got mad love for you, brother. You've always been here to support the Dagger Squad and what does, and even what Vocab does. So just want to say, reach out. If you need any help or assistance, just let us know. All right? We got love for you, brother, and your family.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
I'll give you a
Appreciate
moment of
that, y'all.
silence for you too, brother.
Good looking out, y'all. So I've just been sitting back, and it's been a very interesting conversation. And the one thing that really I was thinking about, and I didn't really want to address what Vocab was saying because I know where Vocab stands. I've listened to him on Paradigm Shift. I've had interactions with him, so I already know how he's standing. We're not going to move him off his Jesus is the way, life, and all that, and how he think we didn't have anything over in Central and West Africa before they brought their ideas to us and saved us from ourselves as they look at it, which is a horrible idea. But I was thinking about something earlier because when y'all was talking about Hellenization and the Septuagint, and the question that leaped into my brain is, was Central and West Africa ever under Greek rule?
Were Central and West Africa ever under Greek rule?
Mm-hmm.
No, not that I know of.
I don't.
All right.
I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
I know Romans came there in the first century, from the
Mhm.
first century BC and first century AD. They
Mhm.
came all the way to the Niger River. Not
So
the
my
country.
so
Not the
so the
country.
reason, thanks, bro, Reggie. Appreciate that. So the reason I asked that is because our ancestors are Central and West African. So in order for us to be these descendants of Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, and all that, that means somewhere along there we would have to be under Greek rule and become Hellenized.
Good to hear that. Hey, thank you for them words of wisdom, my brother. Appreciate that. Israel Bound, thank you, Sabio. Israel Bound, I got a question for you and Vocab while Vocab is looking that up. Something that we had a conversation about as far as Jews being interchangeable with Northern Israel. I have a question for Vocab and Israel Bound. All right, this is what I'm going to read for you guys real quickly. It says here in Acts 2, we're in the New Testament, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. And in context, this is the Pentecost, Feast of Pentecost that they're having. So all these people are coming down. So it says, Jews from every nation under heaven. In verse 9, it speaks about some of them are called Medes, Parthian, and Medes. In verse 14, Peter addresses them as men of Judea. In verse 22, he calls them the men of Israel. I want to point out, right, if the house of Israel was in Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost, when he says the 10 tribes were in Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost, the Jews from every nation under heaven. And he mentions later on who were these, and among them those who were called Parthians and Medes. And if we remember carefully, this is important because if you turn to 2 Kings 17:6, it says, in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. Now, when you read 2 Kings 18:11, it says, and the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria and put them in Halah and Habor by the river of the Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. These two passages very plainly show that the 10 tribes were carried away into Media and placed in the city of Medes. But on the day of Pentecost, descendants from that region were called Jews, referred to as Medes. So the 10 tribes were present in Jerusalem on the day of the Pentecost. But the point I'm making is that they're using the word Jew in the New Testament at this point interchangeably with the people from the northern tribes. Vocab, you could go first. Am I incorrect by trying to make that claim?
You're sorry, I was looking at the history of creation in the Egyptian text because I got something for Ankh. But hold on, my bad, I got distracted by that. You're saying with the Medes and the Persians, could you repeat that last part, Garfield?
I was saying that if when you look at 2 Kings 17:6 and 2 Kings 18:11, it both talks about the Assyrians carrying off the northern tribes to the city of the Medes.
Yes.
Now in Acts 2:5, it talks about Jews from every nation under heaven, right? And then later on, it refers to some of those Jews as Parthians and Medes in verse 9. I am saying the two passages plainly show that the 10 tribes were carried into Media and placed in the city of the Medes. But on the day of the Pentecost, they refer to the people from the Parthians and the Medes area, Persians and the Medes area. They were called Jews. I'm saying that they're using the word Jews and Israel as interchangeable at that point, because these people that went to Medes, that's coming down for Pentecost, those descendants stem from people who were taken during the Assyrian exile. And I think this is code words that they're using, like they're using Medes, they're telling you geographic locations, which is used in the Old Testament during the Assyrian exile to tell you who these descendants come from. And I'm saying this would be what my brother Israel Bond would have called northern tribe people. And I'm saying they are basically called Jews in Acts 5. Acts 2.
Yeah, I got it. I got Acts 2 on the screen. You don't have to share, but if you want to your point. So there you're making the point, which is a good point, that you have Jews from all over coming for Passover. And specifically, verse 9 is, I think, what you're referring to, Parthians and Medes. And so if you trace that to where the Assyrians put the northern tribes, you see that it makes sense to connect years later. This would be, centuries later, the fact that you have people from Jewish communities in those areas coming to celebrate Pentecost, because then it's a large reason that would account why they're largely there. So you're saying this would be an example, first of all, that northern tribes still exist. They're still there. They're still faithful to their God, as it were, things like that. I agree. And you can see examples where you have Jewish people spread all over the empire who are not in Judea, and yet they're called Jews. The best example is at the end of the book of Esther in chapter 8. It says many became Jews for fear of the Jews. It says they became Jews, and it's not talking about people in Judea, because when did the book of Esther happen, right? This is under a different kingdom. This is under where they're not in their own place. And so that you have, first of all, the word Jews in the Old Testament. Second of all, you have the book of Esther referring to that. So I think those are all great points.
Another thing too, if we look in the book of Ezra, they are called Jews 8 times and Israel 40 times. In Nehemiah,
let me respond to that.
You want to respond? I'm sorry, my brother, I forgot.
There's an example on the screen. Yeah.
Let me respond to that. First of all, if you go into Esther and you go look at that story and you read it, you'll see that for the fear of the Jews and the power that they acquired, the people amongst them became fearful because of how they treated the Jews previously, kind of in a nutshell to wrap that up. But they were so scared, they became converts. And if you look those two words up, it says they became Jews. And when you look that word up, it clearly uses two different words. One uses the word for Hebrew, that we call them Yahudi, and the other one I think is Yahad, I think is the word. So it separates them even there in that story that he ran to that makes really no difference. But what I want to address to
I got
you
it on the screen.
is that
I got it on the screen. Hold on.
Yeah, we
can you
see.
prove that?
Yeah,
Can you? But no.
prove
Can you
what?
prove
Yeah,
what you just said?
pull up. Yeah.
It's on the screen.
Pull up the Hebrew version, and you will see it yourself. How can I prove it in the English version when I literally said that it said they converted to Jews?
Okay, a copy of what was written was to be issued as a decree in every province, being publicly displayed to all peoples, and the Jews were to be ready. Hold on, a little bit farther down. But
I think you're gonna go to like chapter 8, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm in chapter 8. There it is.
Oh,
and many from the people of the country declared themselves Jews for fear of the Jews had fallen on them. All right, so let's see.
Right there.
All right. So you're saying what now?
So I'm saying that whatever we're saying is that those people were converts, and you had regular Jews. I don't even know why you brought that scripture up. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, I still don't see your point. What's the difference of the word Jew there?
What was the point? What was the point in bringing it up? Maybe that's the question to you.
Well, because it shows how you have Israelites scattered throughout, and they're not in Judea, and yet they're called Jews. So it destroys your point about this idea that Jews is never referred to anyone except for people in Judea. They're not in Judea here.
Hold up.
That's the reason.
Those are called, but those people are called what? Jews, right?
Yes, that's the whole point.
So that means they were from Judea. What are you talking about?
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. How do you get that? Because look what it. Hold on. I'm going to prove I'm going to prove that what you just said is wrong. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Okay.
First of all, it started in the city of Susa. Okay. Now look what it says.
Okay.
And in every province and every city, wherever the king's command and his edict reached, there was gladness and joy among the Jews. So is it just Judea? Is it just Jerusalem? No, Israel bound, with all due respect. You fail. A feast and a holiday.
What is
and many
he
from the
talking
peoples
about,
of the
y'all?
country declare, because it's not just in Judea. It says every province and every city where the king's edict reached.
Are y'all hearing? Am I the only one hearing this, or is this guy? I can't be the only one hearing this. Listen, we said that the people that are called Jews are called that because they are from the southern kingdom of Israel. That was the whole story right there. And all you did was go read it.
You talking about the story in Esther, my brother?
He's reading about southern kingdom Israel. What is he talking about?
Hold on, what'd you say again?
Garfield made a statement earlier that said
about the southern kingdom. You said they only call Jews in the southern kingdom?
Yeah, only Jews that are from the southern kingdom. Yeah, because you don't study the Bible and you don't know history. So that's why you don't know that.
Hold on.
That's a fact.
No need to insult him. It's on the screen. He can read the text in front of him. It says in every province and in every. Hold on, Israel bound. Can you read Esther 8:17? What it says, please.
Go ahead. You just read it, didn't you?
And in every province and in every city, wherever the king's command and his edict reached, there was gladness and joy among the Jews. So whatever city they were in, whatever province they were in, they were called Jews. The idea that these people who were only from the south and they were scattered all over is silly. First of all, you had Benjamites there, and you would have priests scattered among them. So you're not even understanding the way the south would be set up. But second of all, they're not in the south. And they're not from the south.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait. You hear what he just said? This is why I keep telling y'all, this dude don't have any understanding of the Bible. Now, he just said that there were Benjamites that when he get done laughing, I'm gonna kill him. When he just said that the Benjamites were mentioned, he just mentioned Benjamites. Pull up a map and see where Benjamin was, y'all. Just pull it up.
Benjamin is the son northern tribe. Hey, let me
I
ask you
know
this,
it.
my
I
brother.
know. Hold on. No,
Hold
wait a
on.
minute. Let me finish killing him real quick, Garfield. Levites, if you read in the book of, I think it's Second Chronicles chapter 11, maybe chapter 15, but in that history, you see where the Levites left the northern kingdom, period. They all went to the southern kingdom, all of them,
That was actually my point, bruh. I was saying there was Levites scattered amongst them. That was the point.
Hey, but they were all called Jews because where they were from. That's my point.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Look at
y'all have a gross misunderstanding of the Bible and the scriptures.
All right, look at this.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I get what he's saying, though.
Jerusalem,
I get what he's saying.
Ezra commanded a sin offering for every tribe of Israel. He referred to them as all Israel. So if you go to Ezra 6, verses 16 to 17, and the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites and the rest of the children of the captivity, kept the dedication of this house with joy and offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel 12 he goats according to the number of the tribes of Israel. Why are they offering for all Israel if it was only the Jews who returned from Babylon?
No, listen, that's where I'm telling you, misunderstanding.
I think you might be right. I think you might be right. Hold on for a minute, bro. Let me help you. No. Let me help you. Some historical accuracy. So the term Jew actually comes from Judah, and that would be the southern kingdom. Am I correct? Everybody on the panel?
Yes.
As far as
that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, as far as its origin.
I know I'm correct with that.
Yeah. That's not the debate. The debate.
No, I know, but that's what he keeps saying repeatedly, that both kingdoms wasn't called Jews because the word Jews come from Judah, right? Which is Judah, which is the southern kingdom. That's what he mean. I had to say, why does he keep saying it? So I get what he's trying to say. Now I don't know if he matching it up right now. Y'all can get him with that. I'm just saying the term comes from the southern kingdom, Judah, which is the southern kingdom. That's what he's saying, though. I just wanted to catch.
Right.
Is that not what you're trying to say, brother? So I get what you. I see what you're trying to do. I don't know if you can do it though, but I see.
So listen. So what he trying to wiggle out from is the fact that he said that all Jews was you would never. I said my point was that you'll never find a Jew or an Israelite, somebody from the northern kingdom, referred to as
Israel.
A Jew.
Yeah, because that's
as a Jew.
The northern kingdom is Israel. I get you.
That would
the southern kingdom
right. They would be referred to either Ephraim or Israel. That's what they would be referred to.
They're gonna get you some kind of way, but I'm saying for historical accuracy, those two kings, they wouldn't have called themselves that. But I'm trying to take, but the New Testament, the way they put it together, man. If you want to believe it, you be rocking with me right now. And they're gonna get you as long as you believe it. If you believe in what you believe in, he got you. Now, if you just stay with me on the historical accuracy, then we can play that.
Notice. I let him pull up.
Can I get my pastor, my official Dagger Squad pastor in the building, man? Pastor Bennett, man. I know you want to respond to something. Peace and love.
My dog. That's my
man. Go ahead, man. I tried to save you. They didn't put the pastor. You done.
That's my dog.
Didn't put our pastor.
They brought the pastor.
What's up, Pastor? What's up, Pastor Bennett?
You gotta bring up the Ravens, by the way, Pastor Bennett, just to get it on. You gotta bring up the Ravens. You gotta
You bring up the Chiefs next week. That's what you do.
What y'all talking about? Salvation being only for Israel?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yes, sir.
Hey, Pastor Bennett, I say they wrote it to make sure that the ways of old got wiped out.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. So okay.
I agree with you though. Both of y'all. I agree with vocab, and I agree with you about to say that the New Testament is you don't got to go through all that no more.
Hold on. Quick question. So we go through this all the time. So every Israelite is a Hebrew, but every Hebrew is not an Israelite, correct?
Facts.
Right.
Okay. And so here is how if we're going to be really true to scripture, here's how we end that argument just off right from the Torah. So in Exodus 9, matter of fact, it's like Exodus 9, Exodus 10, so on and so forth. Does Moses say that the Lord said he's a God of the Hebrews?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe he
So,
does say that.
okay, right. So he says it multiple times that he's a God of the Hebrews. And in the same passages where he's saying God of the Hebrews, he later distinguishes, or not distinguishes, but he also uses Israelites, right? He talks about the Israelites coming out of bondage, right? So here is the simple question. If the Bible says God is a God of the Hebrews, and we just established that every Israelite is a Hebrew, but not every Hebrew is an Israelite, how many Hebrews have salvation that we know for sure in the Old Testament that aren't Israelites? And if you name me one, then you can't say salvation is only for Israel. If you name me two, you're really looking bad. If you name me three, you're really out of there. So how many non-Israelites who are Hebrews do we know serve Yahweh, and we know Yahweh claims them as his people? How many do we have?
Before you answer that, I just
Man,
want some clarity, Pastor Bennett. Hold on, you need some clarity here, Pastor Bennett. This vocab and Pastor Bennett and that same yoke. I just want to make sure I'm not tripping, because I be tripping sometimes. Am I correct or incorrect when I say the only time when you read when you read the biblical narrative, you never find an Israelite calling another Israelite a Hebrew? You only find foreigners calling people Hebrews. Am I correct in that? And if I'm correct in that, okay, you say no. What do you say, vocab? You on mute. The African God just muted you.
By the way, that text you brought up earlier wasn't written until 305 BC. So we got something to talk about, bro.
Yeah, no. Hold on. No, we don't. Because if you did, I know you did the quick Google ship. It actually goes
I told you I was looking it up. I told you I was looking it up. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Conversations.
No, you can't let him say it. Don't let me just respond. We can get right out of it.
Let him address what just said.
Anyway, it goes back to the old kingdom, though. And your source should have told you that. But go ahead, though. Go ahead, answer that question, though.
That's an escape route. I don't know because I think doesn't Jonah. I can't remember if Jonah says he's a Hebrew or not. I'd have to look. I don't know for sure. But the answer.
Paul said
he's a minute. We ain't talking about Paul right now. Paul is Pastor Bennett. Am I wrong on that?
Are you right? Let's get that answer. How many Hebrews do we have that are not Israelites?
Oh man, that was the reason why I did that, though.
Yeah, but just hold on. Let me just
go ahead.
I'm headed somewhere. How many Hebrews do we have that are not Israelites that we know are servants of God and children of God?
Multiple.
Okay, then that ends that discussion right there.
Abraham.
It does not. It does not.
Abraham. Hold on. Abraham is not an Israelite. Right. Sarah is not an Israelite. Isaac is not an Israelite. Rebecca is not an Israelite. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So we can establish, were they people of God? Were they children of God?
Yes.
Okay, so now that's just if we're going to be technical, then we already have established that you just admitted that you have people of God who are not Israelites, children of God. Now wait. Now the next question becomes, since we know Gentiles receive salvation, right? And since we know Gentiles receive the salvation, and Israelites like to say, well, all of those Gentiles are just some type of way they're Israelite. So then let's go to a vocab, but whoever brought it up, can somebody bring up Matthew? I just got two passages real quick. Can somebody bring up Matthew chapter 10?
Yeah, I'll show it on the screen.
All right, cool.
Pastor Bennett, you ask my question in between that, though?
Hold on. Let's just clean this up real quick. What are you talking about? Matthew 10:56, Pastor?
I got it. On the screen.
No, actually, Matthew 10:5.
I got it on the screen right now. If you're able to,
yeah. Matt, go to verse 5. Okay.
Okay, right here.
We're just gonna go to one more after this. Okay, so these 12 Jesus sent out, instructing them, go nowhere amongst the Gentiles. Let him bring it up. All right, go nowhere.
Sorry.
No, you go.
I'll make it bigger.
Go nowhere among the Gentiles. Keep moving.
I'm sorry. I was trying to make it bigger. I'm sorry. I was trying to improve it.
All right, good. So go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. In that verse, does it clearly distinguish Gentiles from Israelites?
Yes.
Okay. So now vocab. Let's go to let's go to Acts 9. So clearly, when Jesus said, don't go into the way of the Gentiles, Gentiles aren't Israelites. So now let's go to Acts. What did I say? Acts 9?
Mm-hmm.
Go to verse 15.
I'm on it.
Garfield,
Right
can you read verse 15 for me, Garfield?
But the Lord said to him, Go, for he is chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will show.
Wait. So, and is a conjunction, right? So right. and can't mean Israelites and kings and the children of Israel, right? So so the Gentiles have to be different. Now we just established in Matthew chapter 10 that the Gentiles are different from the lost sheep of Israel. And then in Acts 9, we just established that these Gentiles can't be the kings and the children of Israel. They're separated. We can't say Gentiles are lost Israelites because Matthew 10 said go to the lost sheep of Israel. So the lost sheep of Israel are the lost Israelites. And they are already excluded. Now, one more, and I'm out of here. One more, and I'm going to get back to vocab.
Oh, man, we got to let that marinate, man.
Oh, no. Hey, vocab, go to 1 Timothy. This last one. Go to 1 Timothy. Let's go to chapter 2. And Israel, no, he my man. He my man. First, but we gotta stop the crazy stuff, y'all. This we gotta stop it. 1 Timothy chapter 2. Now watch this, y'all. Look what it says. First of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving, watch this, y'all, be made for all people. Now, let's just say somebody was gonna say that all people is just Israel. Well, the next line lets you know all people can't be Israel because it says for kings. So this is the New Testament. What king of Israel was there at the time of 1 Timothy?
Boom.
There wasn't no Israelite king. So now, if he's saying I want prayers and intercession and thanksgiving for all people that can't just be Israelites, then if it's clarifying that make these prayers and intercession for kings, which can't be Israel, and all who are in high positions, watch this, that we may lead a peaceable and quiet life and godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of our God, our Savior. Watch, who desires that all people be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now that when we're dealing with the law first mentioned, if in verse 1, all prayers is being made for all people and that just ain't Israel, then what is that? Verse 4, all people can't just be Israel. It's the same all people as in verse 1, and it says God desires all people to be saved. Now, if every passage before that is talking about non-Israel, not simply Israelites, then you can't make verse 4 only be talking about Israelites. Okay?
All right, let's hear my brother Israel Bound. You got 2 minutes. Go ahead, brother.
And then I got 2 minutes after all them scriptures and all that foolishness. I got 2 minutes.
Take it down.
Hey, listen, that was well put together. I'm proud of you, Pastor Bennett. But listen, we'll start with the last scripture that he just read. He read and it said, first of all, that I urge that excuse me now, I'm can't read really good. But that supplications, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, right? For kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. See, it's ironic that Vocab Malone brought up Esther, because Mordecai didn't take this position. He didn't take this position and pray and be peaceable for the men who was above him and in charge. He bucked up. You see what I'm saying? And that's what brought the wrath of Haman on the Jews in the first place. This is why the scriptures tell you to be this way, right? Notice the topic is not about praying or giving thanksgiving for people. This is about salvation for people, in which you don't see up there, right? And when he goes and makes this statement about it can't be talking about all nations to be saved, if I make that claim about.
Hey, Garfield, I gotta go. I'm out of here, man. The vocab, I'm out of here. Pastor David, still have him out.
Wait. You can't. This text you try to bring up.
Yeah, I ain't trying to bring it up. It's there.
Yeah. Well, we need
one aspect of it.
Since the example I have is from 305 BC. We need to find. Right? Yeah. We need to find this really old mention you're talking about that predates Yahweh.
Hey, Pastor, I gotta use that scripture Pastor Bennett just used, man. That's a
I ain't gonna do a vocab. Hey, vocab, maybe we can let us come back next week and we can have that type of discussion.
I will see, but I just want to point out the thing that you pointed to takes place at 305 BC, and it's super weird because that God transforms into another God and then masturbates to produce more gods. That's part of the creation story that you're saying is like Yahweh.
I like that story. What's that story?
That's a good story right there.
This dude gets turned on by his own shadow.
Nah. You disrespectful.
Of course, I'm disrespectful. It's
that's like me saying Jesus Christ was a clown. I wouldn't do that to you.
But see,
but Jesus Christ walk on water and all that. That's
not a right? That ain't clownish.
Don't really walk on water though, do they? Vocab.
Think about that. The God of the universe is in charge of the laws of the universe.
Jesus is not the God of the boundary universe, yo. That wouldn't make sense, now would it? And then walk amongst men. That wouldn't make sense. So I'm just trying to show you your level of disrespect is disrespectful, right? The way different tribes see their creation is the way they see their creation is basically what I was trying to say. You're very arrogant and you're out of order at times. I ain't tripping though. So I'm saying I can get just as disrespectful with Jesus Christ. I can say the Romans killed your God. You got a God that can actually die. He might come back to life later on, but he definitely got murdered up on that cross. He couldn't take himself down, though. His father had to take him down. But you say, no, it wasn't his father. It was him. Very confusing. Anyway, we good. I want to keep it light, man. Appreciate you, Pastor Bennett. You on here.
I got it on the screen. I got it on the screen.
Nah. We're going to get back to this later.
On a screen.
I said it was 331. Hold on. I said it was 331 BCE. Right? You said it was 325. All that's cool, right? So that's just one of the deities. Now, because I can go none, which definitely goes back to the old kingdom. So I wasn't even trying to get into that back and forth with you on that. I just wanted to talk about the Lord of the utmost limits. I can talk about none that comes out. I can talk about none, right? The primordial waters, the Kepler came out. They go way back to the old kingdom, though, bro.
Notice he says, I formed myself out of the primeval matter. I made myself out of the substance that was in the primeval time. So this God doesn't always exist. He made himself out of something.
That's right. Out of primordial water.
Self-creating God. He's a self-creating God.
He's a self-creating God, bro.
And that's radically different than Yahweh, who always existed. You can't make yourself. It's a logical impossibility to make yourself.
You want to do it, we doing it. Don't get my way, Garfield. Don't say nothing to me. Let me handle this. So vocab.
You have to. If you don't exist, you can't make yourself, brother.
Hey, vocab. Listen.
Yeah.
I ask you this.
What up?
When God made anything, what did God use to make something?
His word. God said, let there be light.
Let me get out of here, man.
God said, let there be light, and there was light. He used his word.
Hey, Reggie, the link is in the back right there. Reggie is right there in the back.
For you right now. Reggie's about to come for you.
So that's a Greek. So listen, I want you to know that his word, that's the logos. That's a Greek tradition. You talked about the Greek philosophers, and that's definitely integrated in the New Testament. Nobody would actually deny that. The logos is a Greek idea.
And we got 6
more minutes. Hebrew traditions right there.
Before we go any further, Before
Come
we go
on,
in,
man. You'll never cut him off, though.
go ahead.
You start talking when I'm talking.
Go ahead.
Talk when
Finish
you
your
talk.
point. Finish your
Help
point.
me
Finish your
out,
point.
bro.
Finish
Man,
your
to
point.
keep it
Go ahead.
all straight. Come on, man.
Go ahead. Finish
Well,
your
I'm
point.
making a point. Listen, so I'm saying that there are different creation stories. And Nun and Kepler comes out of the premortal waters. And I'm saying that's closer, right, to what we would say about premortal matter, right? So the question was, you said his word. That's crazy. All right. So God would have to use God to make things, since it's none but God. That's basically what you're trying to say. And I'm trying to tell you that human beings made that story up. But I go back to at least to the pyramid text. Pyramids predate any Hebrew tradition, and Nun is definitely one of the oldest deities. And the gods come out of Nun. Nun, Kepler, comes out of premortal water substance. And I'm saying that's an idea and a concept that was generated before the Hebrews idea and concept. So for the listening audience, I'm simply making the point here, right, that human beings created these creation stories, and vocab and this arrogancy thinks that the Christians are the only ones with the creation stories, which is crazy to me. But you know,
No, I don't. No. I never said that, brother. I never said that. I never said Christians are the only one with the creation story.
You said
that's
the creation story.
Well, that's true, yes, but because you have a
true.
God.
That's false.
No, here's why it's true though, because you have an illogical deity.
Speculation.
But listen, when I say this, I'm not trying to disrespect you. It's not a personal thing. I'm talking about the Egyptian gods. Like,
I'm saying you're disrespecting disrespecting other people's theology. Okay. And I'm saying and when you disrespect a person's theology, you're actually disrespecting their custom and their traditions. Now I know you sitting up here thinking that God dove out to heaven and say boom, boom, and stuff came. I know that, but I'm trying to let you know that religious traditions are created by human beings on planet Earth. And they have different customs, different traditions. They actually encapsulate who these people are and encapsulate their worth. That's all I'm saying. And so that's all the Hebrews are doing. They're trying to find themselves in, and they're in an environment with other deities that clearly predate monotheism. Zoroastrianism predates Christian monotheism or Hebrew monotheism. So I'm just making a point here that we're talking about people's customs and traditions. So you're not actually talking about me. I'm just trying to make weight on your arrogancy. That's all I'm saying. You're arrogant with that, bro.
Well, forget about insults. Let's just read what here's a summary from sacred text. Kepler had in some form union with his own shadow. That's why I made that joke about he got turned on by his own shadow.
I know you did. I know you made a joke about the way they performed, how things came to be is what you did.
With his own shadow, and so begot offspring who proceeded from his body under the forms of the god Shu and Tefnut, according to a tradition preserved in the pyramid text. By the way, this proves that they don't even have one singular tradition. There's all these different versions. This event took place at Heliopolis, and the old form of the legend ascribes the production of Shu and Tefnut to an act of masturbation.
That's fine.
This is, well, you're saying it's fine, but this is nothing like a story where you have a God who always existed. The God of the Bible is eternal, and that was my point. That's the only kind of God who could exist. You can't have a God who makes himself, because you can't make yourself if you don't exist to make yourself. The Egyptian gods are literally logical impossibilities by their very ontology. You can't make yourself if there's no I to make yourself. It violates the law of identity. How does one who does not exist make himself? You believe in logic. How do you believe a God who's not there can make himself, brother?
So what I'm saying is I don't believe in God, period. I'm simply saying this is the way that human beings create their narratives. You're the one sitting there thinking it's actually a God. And I'm saying if you're thinking it's actually a God, then I'm saying it was actually people in Israel that made this God during the daggone Iron Age. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So you're sitting here making it seem they don't have an ancient tradition. I'm going to say this again. The Hebrews do not have an ancient tradition because we can find cultures that are more ancient than them. That's all I'm saying. Now, I know you think that they got the God, and I'm saying it's colonialism that would make you think that. But if you was on par with recognizing the beauty of humanity and the beauty of customs and traditions, right, and erase your colonialism, I'm thinking, Pastor Bennett, you need to tell that man that his Christianity should have more love for other people's customs and traditions. Not believe in it, but at least have the fitness enough to know that other people have created gods prior to Christianity. That's what I'm telling you. Whether it's through masturbation, whether it's through any way you want it to be, that's just what it is. Now, you may think that sex is some unholy union. Hold on. But I'm saying that sex is a union of holiness because you do not come to earth earth without sex. That's why Jesus Christ is trash at this particular junction, because he did not make the earth by quote unquote the union between two humans. And you said he was human at the beginning. Garfield jumped in the middle. So I'm saying no. Although I think he may be human and have a historical narrative to it, and I agree, we all agreed, but then you take that away by saying that he popped up out of nowhere. So I'm done with that. Reggie, you can have that. I appreciate you, Vocab. You my man. I just want to get that off because you slick. Pastor Bennett, I appreciate you, bro. But tell your Christian brother, yo, he's very, very, very disrespectful for no reason of other people's totems and customs.
But you don't think in the ancient Near East there was polemics? You don't think in the ancient Near East there was polemics?
Explain that.
You don't think in the ancient Near East people
talk crap about other people's
belief?
that
you don't. That's kind of weird, that you think that you don't think that in the ancient Near East that there were polemics, that all the, whether you're talking about creation stories or anything else, that there wasn't criticisms.
And I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying we right now, and we have a high level. Hold on. I'm saying we have a high level of scientific literacy now, bro. We not back during those. Hold on. We not back during them times when he didn't know what the hell a volcano was. And I'm telling you that reasonable people, that people now understand that what God's represent and what they are. Only the Christians think that they got the God. Yes. Only the Muslims think that they got the God. But I'm saying there's 2 billion people to recognize that these are all stories of how each clan, each tribe claimed themselves to be. Now, the Hebrews was not talking about the world there, bro, when they made the creation story. How do we know? Because the humans that wrote the story did not know about the world. No, I'm not doing it with y'all.
No, listen real quick. No, all I'm trying to tell you is the criticism that a particular person and or people have a particular persuasion of belief, whether it's about creation or things about the world or God and or gods, whatever. Correct. I'm saying is not nomadic of this time right now. I'm saying in the ancient Near East, you had polemics and criticisms already going on, right? And then based on, like Vocab said, with you dealing more with from a place of logic, it will actually be illogical. Like you keep saying the Christian, but it would actually be illogical for the Christians to have the faith that they have and then say that our God is not the true God. It would.
No, I don't know. I'm not. No, hold on. I'm not. I get it, but I'm saying we not back then.
I'm talking about right now.
No, listen. And that's the
that we claim only has one separation. It's not even logical to suggest that we could look at Buddha and say Buddha is right too because another group of people.
So no, I don't think a person would say that. But if you would listen to Buddha and the Dalai Lamas, they would have the utmost respect for your totems and your customs and your traditions. And I'm trying to let you know that the whole world ain't Christian, bro. And we live in an environment. Hold on, we live in an environment. We can actually learn and hold on.
Wait, but you cut me off.
No. I want to finish like you want to finish, and I'm not gonna long talk. I'm not gonna do it. I'm simply saying, then I could come up here and just trash Jesus Christ, and you would say, well, that's logical for you to do that. And I'm saying, out of respect for you and what you believe, I'm just not going to do that. Right? But if y'all continue along them lines, I don't have a problem with saying that it's crazy as hell. I don't have that problem. But I'm saying we don't need to do that.
Based on what the Egyptians said about Asar, based on what the Egyptians said about Aset, based on what the Egyptians said about Set, based on what the Egyptians said, it is absolutely not disrespect if we're having a conversation about God, the Christian faith, and if we're having a conversation about Egyptians and what they believe, it is not disrespectful to then engage in that conversation. Hold on, to engage in that conversation and tell you why. As you're saying, so for example, let me just use the language that you're saying. If I was to say right now, the time we living in, Set destroying. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you know you got
Okay,
Set
my bad. I
destroying
know
what?
what
Go
happened.
ahead.
My thing froze.
Go ahead.
Set. Wait. Set was brothers with. Was that his brother?
I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know
talking about Osiris, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Say it.
It was
Get
his
it out.
brother, right?
Uh-huh.
Set destroying his brother and his
Chopping up pieces.
pieces being spread all over the means nothing.
That's fine.
Means
I'm not
nothing
mad
right
with that. I get it.
But no. That's what you just said. You said we leave it to so that means nothing right now.
That's fine. But
Okay,
Jesus Christ
me-
coming back. Hold on. But Jesus Christ coming back to life in Palestine, Judea, absolutely means nothing. It only means something to the Christians. You can't say that, Pastor.
No, listen what I'm about to say. But I'm saying to me, who knows that Christ is real and true and resurrected,
right?
Giving witness to his resurrection,
correct,
only gives witness to the validity that he's coming back.
That you didn't see that though.
That's not even a comparison to you telling me the story of Set, because that's
it is, but it is
meaning in this time.
It actually is though, because if you understood the meaning,
the death of God. That's
no. Listen.
Same someone resurrected who actually has no
Bennett.
meaning in this time.
Hey, Pastor Bennett, listen.
But that's not
concept. Hold on for a
in
minute.
this
Wait, hold on. Wait. So since we doing it, let's just do it a little bit. And Reggie, I'm gonna let you get in real quick because we got him where the hell we want him, man, Reggie.
Oh my God.
All you gotta do, Reggie, is relax, yo, and kick that Egyptian ideology. Hold on, Pastor Bennett. Listen, all I'm trying to tell you is that if we're really gonna have an honest conversation, the concept of hell and resurrection and all that, definitely we can show you where that predates. And I'm not even saying that Christianity comes from Egypt. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying renewal and resurrection and all that is part of the human identity and how humans were thinking at time periods. So I'm not mad that you believe in your story, right? I'm not mad. I'm just simply saying I have an advantage over you because I'm actually not a believer. I can see the beauty in all the stories that humans have created. You can't see the beauty. You're going to miss something here because I can see the beauty in all human literature, in all human folklore and belief systems. You can't see it. I'm not mad at y'all.
That's a contradiction.
No,
that's a contradiction.
It actually is not.
Hold on.
It's actually not.
Hold on. I'm a church. I'm gonna prove you in 10 seconds. I'm gonna prove you just contradicted yourself.
On what? Saying can see the beauty.
No. Hold on. Don't do that. I'm a prove in 10 seconds. I'm gonna prove you just contradicted yourself.
On what part? On what issue? I'm listening. On what issue?
I'm getting ready to tell you.
Go ahead.
You can't say you see the beauty of all stories of all faith and then tell us.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You did. You just
didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said listen. I said
that was your advantage.
No. I said clear word. Nope. Hold on, brother. I said you just changed what I said.
Everyone else.
They passed the Bennett. You just passed the Bennett. Slow down, bro. You put words in my mouth. I didn't say I said that all traditions was beauty. I said in everybody's traditions, I can see beauty in it. Meaning there's certain things, there's certain things that you can learn from all cultures. That don't mean you will learn everything from the damn culture, Pastor Bennett. And I know you hear what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that all traditions are beautiful. I said I can see the beauty in traditions. No, that's what I said, bro. That's different language here.
No, listen, you said
in tradition.
You said you can see the beauty in
all traditions. So within traditions, they have things that are beautiful to humanity. That's what I was saying. That's what I meant. So we cleared that up. So now I'm gonna tell you what I meant. So you get that straight.
That means you're saying there's some things that aren't beautiful. Therefore, you reserve the right to critique elements of the traditions you don't agree with. That's all we're doing with this masturbating God. So don't be offended because I dissed the masturbating God.
No. I actually didn't get offended. I got offended that you don't have the thinking power to even recognize why they would use sperm in that. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Hold on. So I'm trying to show you that the thing that you talk about, that Yahweh is self-created, right? Eternal.
No. Self-existent, not self-created.
Self-existence, right?
I mock self-created.
I know, but that's the same thing that story was trying to say, though.
Two different things. Self-created.
Go ahead, Reggie. Jump in, Reggie, and jump in.
Brother. Unc, I know you like philosophy. and I'm not saying that as a diss. This is good.
I know it's not a diss.
Philosophical distinctions will help us here. Self-created and self-existent are two different categories of ontology. One is a contingent being that comes into existence at a certain point in time, even though the idea is that it does it by its own self-identity, which I pointed out as a logical contradiction. Self-existent, and that's where I used the concept earlier of aseity, means there's an eternality to the ontology of the being. These are radically different category distinctions. And I'm just saying that a masturbating God is not a God worthy of worship. Now, I know we didn't get to it, but I showed on the screen earlier where, because you were kind of offended by the critique of Egyptian idea, and Bennett brought up, rightfully so,
I wasn't offended by that.
In the ancient world, there was polemics against the other
God.
Hold
on.
Last thing. On the screen earlier, what I was just showing is that the Egyptians had a stock phrase that they referred to Cushites. The stock phrase they use, which is translated in English, is vile Cush. And you can look this up. I just had nyu.edu on the screen. They often would portray Cushite peoples as barbaric and uncivilized. So my point is to say that if the Egyptians can be xenophobic and they can mock and insult, then I can do the same thing with their masturbating God, and it should be fair game.
I know, but hold on. First of all, you're talking too long. Second of all, you messed that all up. You don't even know what you're talking about. Is that the same for everybody else? They call them the Val Asiatics. That's nothing. And then you're talking about one particular time period. You're not talking about the totality of Egyptian history. See, you could pull that off there, bro. So you're not going to take one dynasty that had problems with each other and then put that over the whole 6,000-year history. That's crazy as hell to me. So that's a mistake. The second point. There are different Egyptian deities that talk about eternity. Okay, that wasn't my point. That was your point. My point was that human beings constructed these ideas. That is the point. And when the Hebrews constructed their ideas, no matter what words they use, right, they are not older than ancient traditions. That was my point. Now, you slick talk with the flim-flam and make it seem when they use the word, bro, you're not going to sit here and convince me. You might convince the believers, but you're not going to convince me that just because you use the word, that mean that God was any more realer than any other God. But go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah. Thanks, Unc. You certainly did a lot. So this eternal Yahweh, well, these are earth gods. And the problem with that is that Yahweh is the Lord, right? And so in this God pantheon, he's one of 40 sons from other texts. So it's not original to your Bible. So you can just get that out. Yahweh is not original to your Bible. It comes from Ugaritic and other possibly Canaanite concepts. So your Yahweh was created. Now there's an Asherah, right, which Unc talks about a lot. She disappears from your lying Bible, right? Because your Bible is not original. But what it does is that it borrows from other traditions, and then it deletes what it doesn't like. Okay, so now Yahweh, he's not from Canaan. He's not from Canaan. Everybody know that. He's from Arabia. So you got an Arabian God that can't get his butt to Canaan unless people fight. And so you have the Meshe Stele that says that these groups of people with the Yahweh God, possibly the Shashu of Yahweh, was fighting the Moabite people. They need to fight the Moabite people to get over to Canaan. So your fake eternal God, who was born from other texts, right, needed humans to believe in him, right, to get his butt over to Canaan, and then joined with the El. So he merged with El, right? He merged at El at this with those beliefs of the Canaanite people that believed in El. So now about ancient Egyptian, what we call ancient Egyptian, You are ignorant about what those people think because you don't read the text. You read European texts, right? That are translated based on European norms. You don't even try to look at the original text. A netter is not a god. A netter is not a god. A netter is only a god when Europeans step on it and try to map their beliefs to African beliefs. So you can't. So when you look at the masturbation,
Reggie, hold on one second. Reggie, hold on one second. Hey, Pastor Bennett, you trying to leave out my brother? Hey, thanks for coming through, bro. You didn't have
Appreciate you, Pastor Bennett.
Appreciate
hey,
scriptures.
Pastor,
You did damn thing, man. Now I gotta steal your information to beat up some.
All right, man. Peace out. Hey, and my brother Reggie, you're gonna have to get some sources for that Yahweh and the Ugaritic text and all that. You're gonna have to get some sources because ain't no Yahweh in that text. So you're gonna. I mean, I'm gonna let. Okay, but you gotta when you gonna start saying those things, you gotta give some sources that actually show me the text of the Ugaritic that says Yahweh in it.
Well, before you
hold on, Reggie. But
time out.
I don't want to go back because I do got to head out.
No, when you said something, you try to hit and then you run.
Why sir.
No, hold on, Reggie. Hold on,
Google
Reggie.
it.
Hold on. Well, no, that's not. Brother Garfield actually cut in because he know I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, why you start something?
I was listen, brother. No, Red. All I said was you made the statement. I just said just give a source. Y'all know how this goes.
So
you gotta give a source.
Tell me when you're gonna be on, and again.
I just told Garfield next time he's on. I just told him. I said since I gotta go next time he coming on, he could just shoot me a text so I can get on from the beginning. I actually just pulled up at the last minute when Vocab was speaking with Israel Bound. But
yeah, I'm on every.
He's gonna let me know.
Thursday at 8 o'clock, 8
right.
p.m. Eastern.
On Thursday?
Yeah, every Thursday. Yeah.
Got you. Peace to the panel. Peace,
brother.
I
am God bless.
I apologize.
Don't leave him by himself. Don't better not leave him.
We're fine.
No, Vocab is definitely fine. Believe me.
I'm gonna let you leave with this. Your God, your Yahweh, from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, and then Reggie, since you're gonna leave me out there, I'm gonna leave you out with this. It's not even really worth it because you don't even the stuff you saying about the text, bro. It's like it's laughable to Christians because you clearly don't understand the Yahweh of the Bible. You got it all wrong. You're talking about creation. At least get what the Bible teaches right.
Yeah, you're a Greek convert. You're a Greek convert. So why don't we just deal with the Greeks that created your concepts?
In the Old Testament?
Not Old
the Greeks of the Old Testament, Reggie? The Greeks of the Old Testament?
No. The Greek of
wait, hold on, brother. You said the Greek
of your Christian, your Jesus.
Hold on.
He's a Greek.
What is it built on?
He's a black Greek convert.
What is it built on?
Imagination. None of this true. You can't prove anybody. You can't prove anybody except for maybe Hezekiah. You can't prove none of the people.
Oh, man.
That's it.
Don't let him draw you out.
What? Hey, I'm clipping that.
You can prove Abraham.
I'm clipping that.
You can prove
because once you said that,
at least Hezekiah is worshiping.
Hey, no, gods. Reggie, you don't even understand the field of archaeology and what you just said to know that.
Hey, I got college,
hold on, Reggie.
Hey, my dude, I got college.
Hold on, Reggie. You don't even recognize. Reggie, hold on. You don't even recognize. Hey, you saying the only one we can validate is Hezekiah. You don't even recognize that saying that makes it that you're not even worth responding to, bro. You're not even worth responding to. That's like, come on, man. I'm out of here. Vocab, do your thing, man.
Whoa, Pastor Bennett. Don't leave Reggie alone.
But you're a big convert.
Hey, so Vocab, you definitely familiar with the Shah shoe. You familiar with them, right? They had a deity called Yahweh too.
But so there's a problem right there. Hold on.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's talk about that.
I am familiar with the Egyptian use of shashu, right?
Yeah.
And it's in these ancient topographical lists, right? The question is, who are the Shashu? So the best evidence seems to indicate that Egyptians use Shashu to describe a number of people, one of whom would be the Israelites. So when you have the phrase "the land of the Shashu of Yahweh," well, hold on. Well,
keep going. Yeah, keep going. I like that.
There's a reason. There's a reason why. For example, there's a reference dating to 1250 and Papyrus Anastasia that there's a group of this, according to Egyptian sources, giant Shashu living in Canaan. They could be identified with the giants in there. So you have examples where the Shashu are used to describe Midianites, Moabites, Edomites, Ammonites, Amalekites. So the idea is more than just Israelites. Now it's also Israelites. So the question is, what's going on there with these two New Kingdom inscriptions, which refer to the land of the Shashu of Yahweh? It's from this topographical list. It's not evidence against God. It's them saying, hey, these people over here worship Yahweh. So why is that understood to be as a bad thing for us? This is saying the Egyptians recognize Israelites worshipped Yahweh. Why is that a problem?
Okay, because let's debate that. And what I'm saying is, you're wrong. The Shashu aren't Israelites. As a matter of fact, there actually isn't any record of Israelites or Hebrews in Egypt. So I'm going to say this again and be very clear for you. The Shashu aren't the Israelites. And the point we was trying to make it is that they worship a deity called Yahweh before the Israelites do, or show up in text.
Could I ask you a question?
No, I'm saying so that is debated.
Okay, but what's the word Shashu? Shashu comes from an Egyptian verb that means to wander.
No, so okay,
Yeah, it does.
Arab comes from a word that wander. All of it. Hebrew, Ibik. All these are wanderers. So because they're all, hold on.
Right. So it simply just means nomads.
No, you know why?
It means nomads. That's why it's not a specific ethnic group.
Listen. You know why? Because all of them were wanderers. All of them. As a matter of fact, the Shashu were just a little more. They didn't consider them to be criminal. Okay. But the Ibrik, they felt like they was a little criminal then. Right?
Time out.
So I know.
Time out. I'm tired as hell.
All right, let's go. Would you hit me with the timeout? You should have timed him out. Time vocab. I'm playing with you, vocab.
And my condolences to our brother Sabio.
Yeah, for real. Hey, we're gonna finish the conversation though, vocab. Good conversation. I always have fun conversating with you, bro. We always leave with, fine greetings, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, you got
I agree with that.
Vocab, you got a new haircut.
That's actually why I was late, because I was at the barbershop.
Oh, they messed you up. You need to stop moving while you're getting your hair cut, yo.
You know what happens? Hey, you want to know what happens?
What happened? That was different trying to get a fade. That's what you get.
In all seriousness,
African American haircut. What?
In all seriousness, what happens is we start debating these types of things because my barber's a black atheist like y'all.
Oh man, y'all could. He messed you up on purpose.
Hey, he might be right. He was trying to make me shake my belief in God, but we were arguing about the problem of evil.
He didn't shake it. He cut it off.
That was the problem. Hey, it'll look good once I have my hat on, though.
Okay.
Yeah. It always looks good.
That's funny. That's
hilarious,
Vocab, thanks for taking the time out today.
Black Vocab.
Well, he's the most friendly barber, and he's the closest barber. I've been going in for years.
Yeah. Good. All right, man. Appreciate you, Vocab. Hey, Garfield, appreciate us allowing us to have a good discussion, man. I like the way you run these Thursday talks, man. Hopefully, Vocab will come back.
All right, peace and love, man. Hey, Vocab, close us out, man. Close us out. What you got coming up?
Oh well, I'm going to Newark, New Jersey for DebateCon. I feel like people should consider maybe going there. So DebateCon 5 is put on by Modern Day Debate, James. Now, so far, they don't have a lot of our issues directly, but you got Lawrence Krauss, who's going to be there, physics professor. He's debating inspiring philosophy. Michael Jones. You got David Wood. He was going to be debating Cosmic Skeptic, but he bowed out because of the threat of Islamic violence. And so now he's debating Robert Spencer. So you have all these people that are doing all these debates from all perspectives, mainly atheists and Christians, because I respect atheists because they're the most willing to debate Christians. When it comes to Hebrew Israelites, they start cowering out over time, but at least atheists will step up to the plate still. And so DebateCon 5, you guys might be interested in it. It's in Newark, and I've been talking to James to try to get him to have some of our kind of discussions included. He's not. I hope I can convince him over time, basically. So then I'm also going to be in Brooklyn as well, and I'm going to be visiting some ancient Hebrew Israelite sites, as it were, in Brooklyn. So it's going to be very interesting. So if you're in those areas next week, hit me up. We could meet up and do a live together or something like that. I'm just talking to the audience who's out there. Brooklyn and Newark.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Garfield. Like, subscribe to the channel, man.
Hold on, before you go on, what you got coming up?
Oh man, we got Dr. Cater coming on.
Okay.
Right.
Reggie, what about Reggie? Reggie, what you got coming up?
I'm your brother. I'm all over.
All right, cool.
I'm everybody's brother. I'm all over. But Vocab, ain't you supposed to debate Morpheus soon?
Who?
Ain't you supposed to debate Morpheus?
Who's that?
Morpheus.
Who's that? He said, who's this?
No, I'm not trying to be funny. Is it someone I know and I forgot? I don't know who that is off the top. Who's Morpheus?
Where is he going to debate him at?
Everybody else knows him.
That'll rock a bell, yo.
Were we supposed to debate?
I thought on Harris's show.
Chris MVP.
No, I never agreed to that. I never agreed to that at all. I was trying to debate Chris Harris, though. I'll tell you that. But instead of it, the problem is instead of doing the debate talk, the problem with Chris is he wants to debate while you're discussing the debate. But the point is to discuss the debate, to set it up, but he can't control himself. So it ends up with him, getting upset and playing all that. So I'd be willing to debate Chris, but
Shout
it's
out
just
to Chris, man. Shout out
he
to
just has trouble. He needs to control his emotions for 5 minutes to have negotiations.
Okay,
that's all of them, man.
But I don't know who Morpheus is off the top. Maybe I forgot. But I'm willing to talk to him.
I've been on Dr. Maad's show with I have been on
right there.
I'll be on a couple of shows till I get it together. All right, but my channel is Africa Online. But right now, thank you. Peace.
All right, cool. All right. And of course, Vocab Malone, y'all know his YouTube channel, Community of Skeptics. You're here at Brother Goffy Podcast. All right, Vocab, peace and love. Peace and love, man. We out of here. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Peace and love. Thank you, family.
Thank you, everybody.